explosiveness of Gale Sayers, the lateral speed of O.J. Simpson. That's how Seattle head coach Chuck Knox described his brilliant rookie running back Kurt Warner out of Penn State. The Cleveland Browns are rolling again thanks to a revamped offense and the rejuvenation of Brian Simon. Last week's 30-24 overtime thriller against the Chargers. Sipe directed a Cleveland offense which amassed 410 yards. Today in Cleveland, temperature in the mid-70s. A beautiful day for football as the Seattle Seahawks and the Cleveland Browns prepare to lock horns. Today's game is brought to you by Ram Tough Dodge Trucks and Dodge Cars. Dodge, an American revolution. By the Pabst Brewing Company, brewers of Pabst Blue Ribbon Beer. For the real taste of beer, Pabst is the place. And by Prestone 2 Antifreeze. America goes and goes and goes with Prestone. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Phil Stone. Working with me today is Dave Rowe. Seattle, under new head coach Chuck Knox, has finally put an offense, a running game in that offense to go along, Dave, with what has always been a great passing attack.
It has been a great passing attack. The Zorn to Largent connection is connected for over 400 passes, and this team in the past has lived and died with the pass. But this year it's the young rookie, Kurt Warner.
You know, Dave, not only did Chuck Knox bring along tremendous experience from Buffalo, he brought with him a former employee of the Buffalo Electric Company.
Oh, the old days of O.J. Simpson. Turn on the juice. That man, Reggie McKenzie, number 67, has instilled a confidence in the offensive line here.
You know, for the Cleveland Browns, they've been searching for a wide receiver with a lot of speed for a couple of years now. Offensive coordinator Larry Weaver, over from the San Diego Chargers, has kind of gotten away from that. He has gone to a great running back here in Cleveland.
He certainly has. In San Diego, he had, of course, the Kellen Winslow, but here he has Mike Pruitt. 90 times he carried the ball this year already. The next closest has carried it 9 times. And if Mike Pruitt goes down, it's going to be a long year and a long day for the Cleveland Browns.
All right, we're set to go. Matt Barr will kick it away for the Browns. Back deep to receive for the Seahawks, Eric Lane and Zachary Dixon. And take a look at this motion on the kickoff as Barr sets it into the air. The left side, it'll be Dixon at the goal line, and he'll bring it out. The corner, out of bounds at the 30-yard line as Dixon simply outran the pursuing Mike Whitwell. Bumped out of bounds finally by Larry Brazil. Here's a look at how the Seahawks will come offensively. Zorn, the quarterback. The running backs, Kurt Warner, great rookie out of Penn State, along with the fullback, David Hughes. The receivers, Harold Jackson, Steve Largent, and the tight end, the age-old sage, Charlie Young. And there you take a look at the offensive line. There's McKenzie, 12th year. Blair Bush over from the Bengals. Pratt, Steve August, #1 draft choice back in '78. The I formation on 1st and 10 at the 29. Largent in motion to the top of your screen. That's Warner, and he's up to the 30, gains a yard before Dick Ambrose, the inside linebacker on the left side, rolls him down. The defense of the Cleveland Browns, a 3-4. Camp Golick, a converted linebacker, and Keith Baldwin. The linebacking core, perhaps the finest in all of football. Banks, Ambrose, Cousineau, Clay Matthews. And no breathers in that foursome. In the defensive secondary, Brazil, Dixon, Clarence Scott, and Mike Whitwell. Hughes, the fullback, through the left side. He's up near the 35-yard line, and he's rolled under by Clay Matthews. You hear so much about the passing attack of both of these ball clubs. As we documented at the outset of our telecast, certainly Zorn to Largent, Sipe to Ozzie Newsome, Sipe to Dave Logan, but there are two of the finer running backs in the National Football League doing their thing here today. Largent. Flags down, they'll call it back. Offside, I believe, against the Seahawks.
It is going to be offside, Phil, but you saw immediately who they're going to. Their bread and butter player, Kurt Warner. An off-tackle play. Seattle is doing a lot of motion now to try to get Cleveland out of their defensive scheme. It's going to bring down a 3rd down at 8 yards. It's going to be a passing situation for Seattle.
Chuck Haberling, the referee today. Let's listen.
Offense, number 76, 3rd down.
Steve August, 7th-year man out of Tulsa, jumped about a half count too soon. So on 3rd down and 7 now, the Browns will counter with 5 defensive backs. Seattle into a shotgun. The first year the Seahawks have gone to a shotgun. Certainly Chuck Knox, one of the many things he has instituted. Thorne unloads, tipped at the line and picked off. Clarence Scott, the interception at the 42-yard line, and the Browns with the first turnover here today.
What a great play here as we see Largent go back in motion. Now Zorn's looking out, gets a lot of pressure from hip left side. He has to unleash the ball right there. He goes to him. You can see the ball is tipped there. An excellent play. Looked like Larry Brazil. And there it is right there, the interception. Great heads-up play by the true tested veteran, Clarence Scott.
For Clarence Scott, his 2nd interception of the 1983 season. And here come the Browns, their first look at the football this afternoon. From the 44-yard line, Sipe in motion, Bobby Jones. And Bryan will put it up. He's got room. Dives to the 38-yard line, a pickup of about 6. Something you don't see Bryan Sipe do a whole lot.
No, you didn't. He didn't want to do it that time. As we look at the offensive back, Sipe, of course, Johnny Davis, and the great pride of Cleveland right there, Mike Pruitt. We can pick up the receivers, the Bobby Jones, the unheralded Bobby Jones out of New York, Dave Logan, the speedster, and of course Ozzie Newsome, Mr. Everything here as a receiver. There's the line, Deacon, of course Jackson, Babb, Delamalore, one of the great players, and of course young Cody Riser.
Take a look at this Cleveland alignment. You're seeing more and more of the single setback alignment in the National Football League. That is Mike Pruitt, the lone setback. Reverse. Harry Holt. First down at the Seattle 32-yard line. And Harry Holt, boy, what a catch he had a week ago, Dave Rowe.
Biggest catch of his career.
Here's the Seattle Seahawk alignment defensively. Jacob Green, Manitou Yasasopo, Jeff Bryant, 3 number 1 draft choices. The linebacking core, Schultz, Robinson, Keith Butler, Michael Jackson. And the defensive backs, Simpson, Brown, Easley, Harris. Holt comes out. Johnny Davis has gone in now to complement Pruitt in the Cleveland backfield. Bobby Jones in motion. There's a flag. Pruitt with the ball will get about a yard, maybe 2. Flags are down all over the place, and I think it's going to be on the left defensive end, Jacob Green. He must have heard something nobody else heard.
Well, you know what happens when you get down in the line like that, Phil? You're so keyed to go on movement, and the wide receiver came back in motion across the line, and Jacob Green saw that movement and drew him off sides. Did you hear that, Hut? You're keyed to go on motion or to go on the movement of the ball, and he saw that motion of that wide receiver coming back across the line.
So walk-off 5 against the Seahawks. And it'll make it 1st and 5 now at the Seahawk 28-yard line.
Offside, defense, 1st down.
Here's our first score this afternoon. The Chicago Bears leading John Elway's Denver Broncos 7-0.
Well, a 15-yard run, of course, by Matsui. Old Penn Staters are coming through the day.
Kind of partial to those guys, aren't you, Dave?
Oh, yeah.
1st and 5 from the 28. Again, Bobby Jones in motion. Pruitt, left side. Great pursuit by the Seattle front line. Pushed out of bounds by Michael Jackson and Kenny Easley. Easley has really had health problems since about the middle of last year. The ankle, now the ribs. I wonder if he's going to get well here in 1983.
Well, that's true. I'll tell you, once the season starts, it's awful hard to get well. You just don't get well. You have to continually play. You have to continually practice, and you don't have time to just sit back and rest for a week to 10 days because you've got to get ready for your next opponent. And Kenny Easley is the type of player that if he's near being well, he will play.
2nd down and 5. Logan to the near side. Bobby Jones to the far side. And Sipe is going to go down in a heap from a blitzing blow by Michael Jackson.
Well, there were only two people that knew the ball was going to be snapped that time. That man, number 55, Michael Jackson, and of course the center. The ball was snapped prematurely. You can see the offensive lineman still in their count. Michael Jackson took off on the ball. The offensive line, as we look at it from another line, you'll see that the offensive line did not know that the ball was going to be snapped. See him still sitting in their position there? And here comes Jackson from your right, tackled back in the backfield, brings up a long yardage situation, third and about 11 or 12.
So instead of 1st and 5 at the Seahawks 28, it is now 3rd down and 12 at the 35. The Browns with 3 wide receivers in now, and flags go down. It'll be against the Browns, I believe. Delay a game, Cleveland.
Boy, that hurts. I don't believe there's one call in football that an offensive coach has such as Sam Bertigliano hates worse than a delay of game. It's a careless mistake. It costs your team 5 yards, and you can see that they're already out of field goal range back on the 40-yard line.
Game. Offense number 17. 3rd down.
Dave, penalties, mistakes plagued the Browns all the way through preseason, and it has continued during the regular season. In fact, the Colts are the only team that has been penalized more than the Browns this year. Dwight Walker, the lone setback for Cleveland on 3rd and a bundle. Sipe steps up with time, throws. Logan has it. I believe he has the first down at the Seattle 21-yard line.
Thing on this play is that Sipe never came off Logan. As we watch Sipe's eyes, you'll see him watching Logan coming from his right, the left side of your screen. He steps up in the pocket. He's watching Logan all the way, unleashes it to him. It's a great catch. You can see how open Logan was. Keith Simpson and Kerry Justin were just way behind.
A big first down. Dave Logan, of course, been around this league now in his 8th year out of Colorado. He knows where he has to go for that first down and got there. 1st and 10 Browns. Pruitt, great pursuit. Bruce Schultz, 246, 2nd year out of Longhorn country.
The thing that the Seattle Seahawks felt that they have to do is get penetration at the ends. That time Jacob Green got great penetration, didn't allow Pruitt to come back up inside. He had to go wide, and of course was tackled for just a short gain.
Dave, there is a statistic that is almost unbelievable. Fantastic. The Browns have scored 13 of 16 times they have been inside their opponent's 25-yard line.
Phil, I'll tell you, as an NFL player, 50% would be outstanding. So you can imagine what that 90% is like.
2nd down and 12. The ball on the 23. Sipe, pressure, and he'll go down again. Penny easily. The game plan of the Seattle Seahawks, as we were told last night, Dave Rowe, is that they were going to blitz, and blitz some more today.
They certainly are. Kenny Easley, 45, coming from the right of your screen. You'll see him come into the picture. Straight run, no one to block him. There he is. Sipe can't do anything. Sipe is not a great mobile quarterback such as Jim Zorn, and he can't get out of that rush.
The Seahawks had tremendous success 2 weeks ago against Dan Fouts and the San Diego Chargers with the same type of defense. Cincinnati leading Frank Cush's Baltimore Colts 3-0. Jimmy Breach a 19-yard field goal with 4 minutes to go in the first quarter. And again, the yellow flags fly and the boo birds sing.
They should be happy because did you see number 70 coming through there? Wow, he had a straight shot at him. Darrell Irwin. Boy, he had a shot at Brian Sipe. They're going to be lucky and happy that the flag called, because it would have been a 10 or 12-yard loss.
Well, I touched on the defense that the Seahawks employed against Dan Fouts as you take a look at the officials for today's game. Let's listen to Chuck Hackett.
Delay of the game, offense number 17, 3rd down.
2nd time Brian Sipe has been called for delay of game, the 3rd penalty against the Browns today. But Seattle 2 weeks ago, Dave, used as many as 7 defensive backs to attack San Diego's passing game. And Dan Fouts, a la Brian Sipe, also not a particularly mobile quarterback.
Exactly right. And they could do so many things from that 7-man defensive back. They can blitz as they did with Easley, and you can see him creeping up into it now.
Now they drop back. Bryant with time. Look at this. All the time in the world. He releases it to Dwight Walker. And the Seahawks shut it down at the 38-yard line. It is Gregory Johnson, third-year man out of Oklahoma State. 8 minutes, 35 seconds to go here. The clock turning in the first period at Cleveland Stadium. No score. But in Green Bay, the Packers are on the board. 7-0.
The Battle of the Bays. 90-yard pass, is that? A 90-yard pass?
It is a punt return.
Excuse me, a punt return by Phil Epps, 90 yards. Wow.
Jeff Gossett, the first punt of this ball game. John Harris, the lone man to receive it for Seattle. Short punt. Bounces. Takes a Seahawk bounce and is finally down at the 15-yard line. A 17-yard punt for Jeff Gossett. 7:56 to play. We'll be back.
Well, as you look on that monitor, that score has to be wrong because my poor Los Angeles Oakland Raiders, they couldn't have had John Riggins run for 2 yards, could they?
Well, it's Washington 7-0. 10:37 of the first period in Washington. Here it is scoreless with 7:56 to play, and that's Kurt Warner diving out near the 19-yard line. Chip Banks is there to cut his legs out from under him. Dave, you think there is a finer foursome of linebackers in all of football than what we see here in the orange and brown of the Cleveland Browns? Banks, Ambrose, Cousineau, Clay Matthews.
Well, they certainly are highly touted. I've heard the people talking in Cleveland here that Chip Banks is probably the best linebacker in football today. That's quite a tribute.
2nd down and 6 now. The ball on the 19. And here they come, and flags fly, I believe. I thought I heard a whistle. David Hughes is hit by Ambrose and Clay Matthews.
You know, it's interesting to watch both these teams, Phil, because both of them are trying to upset the offensive tendencies of the game. They're both trying to upset both Zorn and Sipe by blitzing linebackers, by bringing the safeties. They're really trying to upset the offensive flow.
So the Browns now with 5 defensive backs, 4 down linemen. Franks, Baldwin, Golick, and Camp. Out of the shotgun, it is 3rd down and 4 at the 21. Right over the middle. Byron Walker has running room. A big gain for the Seahawks, and for the first time today, they are in Browns country at the 47-yard line.
Of course, Seattle caught Cleveland in a man-to-man zone. We can see Zorn here not under a lot of pressure, seeing Byron Walker come from the inside. He was wide open on the slant, coming to the post pattern. Great speed. Look at that youngster run for 33 yards.
Well, he had Hanford Dixon beat about 5 yards across the line of scrimmage, and Zorn just drilled it in on the crossing pattern. A big, big first down. A gain of 33 to the Browns' 47-yard line. Warner and Hughes, the setbacks for Seattle. Play action. Zorn with all the time in the world. Largent has it at the 27-yard line. Clarence Scott, 13th year out of Kansas State, really put the hammer to Largent. For Largent, his 24th reception of the year.
Phil, we talked about the pressure that Cleveland has to put on. The pressure here is non-existent. Zorn is standing up in the middle, waiting for Steve to get out free. You can see him right there. Again, another 21-yard pass in front of the deep zone, behind the shallow zone. That's been quite a connection over the years.
Right over Dick Ambrose and right in front of Clarence Scott. Here's Hughes. The fullback will go through the left side. And boy, what a block Kurt Warner laid on Clay Matthews, pushing Matthews to the outside.
Well, if Chuck Knox has his way here, he's going to be going straight to ground chuck, as we said earlier. Look at that score. New England over San Francisco.
Yeah, that was a pass, a 30-yarder, Grogan to Ramsey. 8:21 to play in the first period. Like Grogan, who would have ever guessed would be leading the AFC this year, passing. 2nd down and 5 at the Browns' 21-yard line. The Seahawks are moving. Young in motion. That's Warner. Straight ahead to the 15-yard line, and that, Dave Rowe, is simple. Put your head down and barrel.
Here's 56 is Chip Blank's. Frank, we can see him getting turned out. He's not even a factor in the play as we see Warner in the background. What leg strength he has. He looks small. Boy, when you stand up next to him, he's got great leg strength.
Now, the guy putting the hit on Banks is the tight end, Pete Metzelaar, 6'7", 240 pounds. Hughes. Kurt Warner, the running backs, Largent to the near side in motion. Hughes to the Browns 6-yard line. Flag is down in the neighborhood where it would normally be called offensive holding, and I think it is. And it might be called on Ronnie Essing.
It was an outstanding call, though, by Chuck Knox as we watch him there. He ran a sucker trap inside where you pull the offensive guard and try to influence the defensive tackle out. And evidently, Essing got in there with a little hand hold, but it was an outstanding call this deep in their territory.
Holding. Offense number 61. First down.
Now that is Robert Pratt. Essing was reacting to the call.
Well, that's good to hear, because I know his family back in Seattle will be happy to hear that he was not holding.
First and 20. So instead of second and less than 1 at the Browns 6, this certainly changes the play selection substantially. Kurt Warner flanked way out to the top of your screen. Warner! Clay Matthews with sensational coverage there right at the goal line. We're scoreless here. Let's go to NFL 83 in New York.
All right, thanks, Phil Stone. In Washington, after a big Curtis Jordan interception of Jim Plunkett, here's what John Riggins does. Stretches out, takes it in. Washington leads it 7-0. Back to Cleveland now.
Now the Washington Redskins out to a quick lead over the undefeated Los Angeles, as you say, / Oakland Raiders. Second down and 20. Zorn will sprint right. He could run it in. This time he's going to go right over the middle of Kurt Warner to the 18-yard line. I think Zorn could have at least run it to the 15.
He certainly could have, but what a move by Zorn. A straight drop back with a lateral pocket change. That's the ability that he has, a great ability to sprint, whereas Brian Sipe is more of a mobile quarterback.
Dave, very rarely do you see a left-handed quarterback roll right.
Yeah, actually, Jim Zorn is much better to run to his right. I mean, excuse me, his left and throw left-handed because he is a left-handed quarterback. When I said mobile, I meant immobile, Brian Sipe.
Third down and 13 now. From the shotgun again come the Seahawks. The Browns 5 defensive backs, and they may be coming here. Look at the linebackers. This time Zorn goes the strong side. He can run it. Oh, is he hammered out of bounds at the 7-yard line. Clay Matthews with a pretty good forearm. And Zorn signaling we've only got a yard, Chuck. Can we go for it? Actually, he's got about 2 yards.
We talked earlier about Chip Blanks, but watch the move that Jim Zorn comes. Again, the moving pocket, as you said, Phil, he's much better rolling to his left. He's a left-handed quarterback. He puts the ball down here. Now watch right here. He almost stumbles and really comes up with the extra yardage to get them to go for 4th down. If he hadn't stumbled, he would have gotten smeared.
Norm Johnson has come on to try and give the Seahawks a 3-0 lead. Johnson is 6 of 9 thus far. Curtis Weathers. Keep your eyes on number 55 in the orange. It's in the air, and it is perfect. So Norm Johnson has propelled the Seattle Seahawks to a 3-0 lead here with 2 minutes 41 seconds to play in the first quarter. We're set to go. Norm Johnson, who has just given the Seahawks a 3-0 lead, will kick it away. Boyce Green and Dwight Walker back deep to receive for the Browns. And watch the elevation Johnson gets on these kicks. Oh, boy. Green from 3 yards deep. He's coming out. And the first first guy that hit him, Michael Jackson, finally stopped on the play by the special teams hitman of the Seahawks, Eric Lane. So the Browns are on their way out of offense. We'll be back to Cleveland Stadium in just a moment. Phil Stone along with Dave Rowe from sunny Cleveland, Ohio on a picture-perfect afternoon for football in the Midwest. It is 1st and 10 Browns at their own 17-yard line. And we were talking about Norm Johnson's tremendous height, Dave, he gets on his kickoffs, and that certainly helps Seattle.
Anytime you can tackle it inside the 20-yard line, that's a real feather in the cap of the covering team. He kicks it so high and gets it so deep right to the goal line that they have to bring it out.
Pruitt out across the 20-yard line. A year ago, the Seahawks led the National Football League in kickoff coverage, allowing their opponents only 15 yards of return. Take a look here. Minnesota leading Dallas 7-0.
Steve Dills, a pass to Sammy White for 43 yards on that one.
Now Alvin Moore, a 9-yard run, has brought Baltimore back to a 7-3 lead over Cincinnati.
And the Battle of the Bays, Tampa and Green Bay. Lynn Dickey passed to Jesse Clark for 75 yards.
2nd down and 6 just across the 20-yard line. Play action. Sight for Logan. And I believe he's got it out of bounds at the 37-yard line. And he caught it right in front of Keith Simpson.
Well, when Dave Logan is well, boy, he is well. He's coming off an awful lot of injuries this year. He just caught a quick 15-yard out, but he looks like the old Dave Logan.
Now the 15 yards, good for a 1st down out. Call it the 37-yard line.
You know, Phil, when a wide receiver gets an injury, it's always so much more of an injury than it is to a defensive lineman, because defensive lineman can play hurt. He can play with a slight groin pull. But these wide receivers and running backs are the thoroughbreds of the National Football League. They just cannot run with a slight pull.
Now Logan, who has caught 2 passes for 34 yards today, has come out. Bobby Jones, Willis Adams, the wide receivers that give right up the gut. And Mike Pruitt flies into the Seahawks secondary. Boy, what acceleration.
Mr. Everything. As we watch Mike Pruitt here, think of him as being 235 pounds on a short frame. Great lateral speed. Once he gets through the hole, he's got the speed, 4.5 in the 40-yard dash to really pick up ground. He can cover it in a hurry.
Were it not for strong safety Kenny Easley, Pruitt would have been off to the races. Interesting thing about Pruitt, not only does he have the great size and able to scoot around, but he's got such outstanding quickness for a big back. Sight on 1st and 10. Pruitt near side. Look out! On a 32-yard line, out of bounds. Michael Jackson on the stop.
Well, Phil, we just got done saying that Mike Pruitt is Mr. Everything. He's carried the ball 90 times. Watch here as Brian Sipe looks them off, dumps a slip screen. You can see the offensive lineman coming down there. There's Deacon and Babb. And there's Mike Pruitt off to the races.
Pruitt, the 3rd leading receiver on the Browns. His 15th catch of the year. As you take a look at Tom Cousineau out with a bloody nose, you can be sure that will not sideline him for long. 1st and 10 at the Seahawks 32, and watch him come here. And they jam it up. Pruitt inside the 30 near the 28. Michael Jackson on the stop.
That was a very interesting play right there. Brian Sipe read Kenny Easley coming from the outside on a blitz and changed his cadence, which threw Kenny Easley off. He wasn't able to blitz through there, and conversely ran the play away from the blitz of Kenny Easley from the right side. Very interesting. Sipe, a very knowledgeable quarterback.
The ball at the 28-yard line, 2nd down and 7. Pruitt 5 carries for 16 yards. Logan and Jones, the wide receivers, little misdirection there. The give right up the middle didn't fool the Seahawks to the 25. A gain of 3. It'll be 3rd down and 3. Let's go to New York now. NFL 83 for this update.
Okay, Phil, in Cincinnati, here come the Colts, another Arizona State product. Alvin Moore, 9 yards up the middle. The Colts took the lead 7-3. Back to Phil and Dave.
We expect that one to be a good one. Baltimore and the Bengals. We're out of time here at Cleveland Stadium on the banks of Lake Erie, where the favored Seattle Seahawks have a 3-0 lead over the Cleveland Browns. Quarter statistics, and it certainly reflects how close this game has been, Dave.
It certainly does. The only difference, of course, being the yards passing by the Seahawks, the 2 long passes that they had, but it's a very even game played by 2 very good football teams.
The Browns, 3rd down and 3. The ball at the 25. That's Pruitt. And he'll be short of the first down. Seahawk bench goes wild.
Oh boy, what do you do now? 4th down and perhaps a yard. Do you kick it for the sure 3 points, what you consider the sure 3 points, or do you go for the touchdown? That's a decision that Sam Bertigliano's got to make. And of course, he believes he's going to go with Mr. Barr.
I don't think there's any question here early in the ball game. 14 minutes, 32 seconds to play in the second quarter. You're down by 3. Here's a chance to draw even and begin anew. Quarterback Paul McDonald, Matt Barr, a 40-yard attempt. His longest field goal of the year, 40 yards out. The Browns have tied the Seahawks with 14:18 to play.
Moments ago in Chicago, Jim McMahon at quarterback for the Bears, back to pass. He finds Willie Gault, the sprinter's 5th touchdown of the year. Chicago leads 14-0. Back to Cleveland.
Phil, you're going to see a very interesting kickoff here. It almost looks as if it's onside. Matt Barr, a very accurate kicker to the corner. So Cleveland puts about 9 guys on this side of the line because he is so accurate at kicking to this side.
All of them on the right side, near side, the bottom part of your screen. Right down the center of the field. Zachary Dixon at the 1. Oh, what a block. Larry Brazil bumps him down, but oh, what a block. There's a flag down. Sam Merriman laid a haymaker on Curtis Weathers down around the 18-yard line that allowed Dixon to get to the near side.
That sign is holding by the offense. That hurts. What was a great run will put it deep in Seattle's territory.
14 minutes, 7 seconds to play here in the first half, and it has been all Norm Johnson and Matt Barr. Boy, the Seahawks will begin from way back at their own 8-yard line. Let's listen to Chuck Heberling.
Illegal block above the waist, number 57 on the return. First down.
Shelton Robinson, the inside linebacker, second year out of North Carolina, whistled. There's a timeout on the field. We'll be back in a moment.
This buzz for everyone who's getting the 1984 Olympic Games ready for the world. Take teamwork, and Budweiser is proud to be part of that team.
For all you do.
This buzz for you.
Winning is seldom without effort. Beyond all, it demands calculation and strategy. At Merrill Lynch, before a move is taken on your behalf, your account executive analyzes your financial situation, then calls upon the country's most awarded research team in helping you select precisely the right investments to advance you to your financial goal. Talk to a Merrill Lynch account executive and understand why we are Merrill Lynch, a breed apart.
Can the Phillies Schmidt produce the big hit? Will Fernando's Heat bring us to the edge of our seats? Will Baltimore's Murray put the Sox in a flurry? Or can the Chicago Bulls smack it with the bases full? A poetry of sorts, only on NBC Sports.
Watch Chuck Knox's reaction as he awaited the verdict on who the penalty was against. Any question as to whether it was against Seattle or the Cleveland Browns?
That'll give you gray hair.
4 penalties against the Seahawks for a total of 28 yards. The Browns have been penalized twice for 10 yards. From the 8-yard line, 1st and 10. Warner tries to buck inside, gets up near the 10, and he is hammered. Chicago now stepping it out over the Denver Broncos.
Well, Jim McMahon to the speedster Willie Galt for 15 yards, 14-0 Chicago.
Minnesota leading Dallas 7-3. Knew that was going to be a great one.
Seption came through again with a little bit of 3-yard field goal.
Suppose Joe Montana will ever make it in this league?
Oh boy, that's quite a laugh, because he just threw to Russ Francis, the old New England Patriot, for 8 yards.
Philadelphia's Eagles leading the Falcons 7-0 on an 8-yard run on Ron Jaworski. Another timeout on the field. 13 minutes, 20 seconds to play as the Seahawks want to take a break here at their own 10-yard line. 2nd and 8 when we return to Cleveland Stadium. There's Seattle Seahawks a year ago, next to last in the NFL in rushing offense. As we talked about earlier, Dave, that's one of the 2 things Chuck Knox wanted to establish when he took this job.
Well, he had to come in and establish a ground game. As we said in the pregame, it was non-existent prior to the coming of Kurt Warner.
2nd down and 8. The ball at the 10-yard line. In motion, Charlie Young. Right over the middle. That's Metzelars. And he is across the 20-yard line. A 1st down out at the 21. Mike Whitwell on the stop. Metzelars, a big tight end. 2nd year out of Wabash. 6'7", 240 yards. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League. It is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Cleveland Browns and the NFL is prohibited. 1st down, 10 yards to go at the 21-yard line. Kurt Warner, the lone setback. And it's Walker. Oh, look at him scoot. Another 1st down to the 33-yard line.
That's the thing that makes Kurt Warner so good. Watch this cut right here. He takes the ball. It's coming over the 5-hole, straight ahead. Cuts back. Now watch this move right here on Ambrose. Gets the seam. He's into the secondary. Picks up 10, 12 yards. He is a threat to go every time. Look what they had to give up for him. Quite an exchange between the Dorsett deal several years ago when they got that in return for him.
Warner, 5 carries, 26 yards. Misdirection, Warner, sweep right, he'll turn the corner, and he's out across the 40-yard line near the 44 before being bumped out by Larry Brazil. What can you say about Kurt Warner? I'll tell you, the people up in the Emerald City, the great Northwest, have to be thrilled to death to have number 28 on their ball club.
Exactly right, Phil. To tell you the impact that he's had on that team, if he has one more 100-yard game, he will be the all-time leading rusher in 100-yard games already for Seattle. He's only in, what, his 5th game of the season. That tells you how non-existent the running game really has been in Seattle.
2nd down, about a foot. Warner again. He's got the 1st down. He took on number 49, Clinton Burrell, went helmet to helmet and backed Burrell up about 2 yards.
He certainly did. One thing that's really interesting about Warner is that when he runs, just before he's going to get hit, he's not afraid to lower that head and take that shot. That time it was very evident that he just lowered the head on him and rammed in there for the 1st down yardage.
Dave, do you suppose your old college coach would like to have Kurt Warner back in 1983 at Penn State? They could use him.
Oh, boy, could Penn State have used him this year already.
1st and 10 at the 47-yard line. We're tied at 3 apiece. Zorn, there's Warner. And he simply outruns the linebacking core of the Cleveland Browns. Clay Matthews, Dick Ambrose was over there. Hanford Dixon was there. Clinton Burrell. I'll tell you, it takes a busload of people to get Warner down or out.
It certainly does. You know, an interesting thing is we watch Zorn drop here. Now, Zorn really looks off. Last minute, looks over to Warner. And now watch Warner. He doesn't do anything really fancy. He's just gobbling up yardage with that. Knows where the first down is and gets the first down. Well, at least we're going to have a mark for it, but I think he got it.
Kurt Warner, 5'11", 205 pounds, averaging 5 yards a carry.
You know, an interesting thing as we watch this measurement, the first time he handled the ball, he ran for 60 yards. That's quite a debut in the NFL.
Al Warner, 7 carries, 39 yards, a couple of catches for 16 yards, and he came into this game, Dave Rowe, number 2 on the Seahawks in receiving behind Largent. Coming up next, the San Diego Chargers will try to get on track against the tough defense of Lawrence Taylor and the New York Giants. Stay tuned with us for a full day of football right here on NBC Sports. Now the Seahawks short by about 6 inches. Incidentally, free safety of the Browns, Mike Whitwell, is out with a bruised knee. Clinton Burrell has gone in to replace him.
Well, Phil, I said that I thought they had made it, but I came up a little bit short. I guess that's why I played defensive line for 13 years.
Now the Browns will miss Mike Whitwell. Boy, what a shot he laid on Wes Chandler a week ago in San Diego. Second down. A foot to go. Oh, look at this. Largent. And Zorn just overthrows him. That play, Dave, right out of the playbook of the old Baltimore Colts and John Unitas.
Absolutely. Second down, 6 inches to go. It's almost a waist down in football. The defense knows that, though, and they should have played this play a little bit better. Of course, it was overthrown, but you can see Zorn wasn't under a lot of pressure. He just overthrew Largent. But that's right out, as you say, out of the Baltimore Colts Johnny U days.
I love to see that.
Oh, I do too. It makes football really exciting.
Zorn 5 of 8 in this one for 80 yards. Has thus far thrown 1 interception to Clarence Scott on a tipped pass.
I think they'll go with Kurt Warner this time. Should have gone with Kurt Warner. What a surge by the Cleveland defensive line. They completely stuffed the offensive line of Seattle Seahawks.
The guy who made that play, Dave, was one of the fellas, the unsung heroes of pro football, the nose tackle. Watch number 79, Bob Golick, on the left side of your screen.
In this situation, all you try to do is get penetration. You can see Jim Zorn looking. There's just no way to go. There comes a linebacker, Ambrose, in there. Brings up 4th down, a big play. They actually lost yardage on that.
Well, they lost a couple of feet. And listen to this crowd react to their defense. Jeff West is on to kick it away for the Seahawks on 4th down and about 2.5 feet. Dino Hall, the lone safety for the Browns. Shanked it. But it's not bad. Out of bounds inside the 20-yard line. I think they're going to spot it at about the 12 or 13-yard line. So a punt that did not look that good came out pretty fine. We'll be back in a moment. 10 minutes, 32 seconds to play here in the second quarter. Tied. Seattle 3, the Browns 3. Dave Rowe, you see Brian Sipe go an awful lot to his tight end. Ozzie Newsome leads the Browns with 20 catches this year, number 1 on the team, 3 touchdowns. Why do you suppose he likes his tight end so much?
Well, as you develop a rapport over the years of having played with him, you develop a confidence that he's going to catch the ball in the tight situation. And that's what Brian Sipe has done with Ozzie. They call him the Wizard of Oz, and it's rightfully so.
Off the shoulder pad of Harry Hole at the 16-yard line. Hey, that's one of those situations when that ball hits off a pad and gets in the air, anything can happen. Take a look here. Philadelphia continues to lead Atlanta 14-0. Seattle, I should say Baltimore, who was leading the Bengals 7-3, is now fallen behind.
Kenny Anderson seems to be having an excellent day, going to M.L. Harris and also to Isaac Curtis for 2 touchdowns back-to-back.
17-7 now in the second quarter. And in Green Bay, the Packers 21, the Buccaneers 7.
There's been an awful lot of controversy down there against John McKay and the Tampa Bay Bucks.
And it will continue as long as they come out on the short end of the score. Second down and 10. Sipe with time. Intended receiver again was Harry Holt. And the fans here want a pass interference call on Kerry Justin, and they're not going to get it. Well, you look at the Browns offense. We were talking about how much the Seattle Seahawks under Chuck Knox, Dave, want to try and become more of a well-rounded offense, become more of a 2- or 3-dimensional offense. You look at the Cleveland Browns scoring anyway. 11 touchdowns by Brian Sipe. They have only scored twice running the ball. Jones in motion. Sipe to put it up on 3rd and 10. Down the middle of the field, and it's caught. Caught by Willis Adams.
Brian Sipe going back to a bread and butter play. 36-yard completion. It wasn't bad coverage. It was just an outstanding throw to Adams there, and just an outstanding catch. It was good coverage, man on man. That's as well as you can cover.
Brian Sipe could not have walked that ball any better over Keith Simpson. He just laid it right over Keith's hand. 1st and 10 at the 39-yard line. The Browns trying to march. Tied at 3. Pruitt, flag is down. And it may be offensive holding. Somebody running interference for Pruitt. Michael Jackson, Kenny Easley combined on the stop. It's somebody out there running interference for Pruitt. I think they had their hands.
Oh boy, Jacob Green down here. He'll tell you exactly who it was. After the play, Jacob Green was screaming in there that it was a holding call on him. As we watch Pruitt, we really don't see the hold, but it certainly was a holding call, and it's going to take Cleveland back deep in their own territory. I think the thing that's been so interesting is that defenses have played so well here today. They've
holding offense number 81. First down.
They've made the team's drive so far. This drive, Cleveland started inside their 15-yard line. The times that Seattle has driven, they've had to drive from deep in their territory. A game of few mistakes.
Now the Browns and the Seahawks each penalized 3 times today. Harry Holt, the guilty party, has just come out of the ball game. Willis Adams, Bobby Jones to the top of your screen. Jones in the slot. Draw play. Pruitt. Oh. At the 31-yard line, Michael Jackson puts his helmet right in Pruitt's midsection and bowls him down.
Boy, if there was ever a way that you would want to teach a youngster how to tackle, it certainly was on that play by Michael Jackson. As we look there, the Washington Redskins over my Oakland/LA Raiders 10-0. Chicago 21-0 over Denver already.
Now they got there. Suey, a 15-yard run. McMahon to Willie Gault, and a pass interception by Les Frazier of Elway. And Baltimore now creeping back. Trails the Bengals 17-14 in the second period. Second down and long. Pruitt sweep left. Out near the 38-yard line. So he gets about 9 of the 10 yards back. It'll be 3rd down and about 10, possibly 11. Justin and Norman on the stop.
Phil, you have to have an awful lot of confidence in a running back in 2nd down and 19 yards to let him carry the ball on an end sweep. That's the confidence that not only Cleveland has in Pruitt, but Seattle has in Kurt Warner. 2 outstanding running backs that certainly are going to dominate their respective teams.
3rd down and 11. The Browns preferring to run around the left side behind Robert Jackson and Doug Deacon. Sipe with time, unloads, and he's got Willis Adams Short of the first down. Joe Norman is signaling no catch, but the officials don't want to hear about it. It is a good catch. It'll be 4th down now and about 2.
Well, they want him to go. As we watch the deep drop from it's a zone defense on Seattle. We can see Willis Adams cutting along underneath there. Well, we really can't see the catch, but Willis Adams has played behind Ricky Feature, and there's no way that he should be behind Ricky Feature. He's at least his equal. He has been today so far.
Now, naturally, the fans don't want the Browns to punt, but on 4th down and 2 at their own 47, Dave, there's really no choice.
They don't have much time.
And they're going to be penalized for delay of game as the 30-second clock expires. That is the 3rd delay of game now against the Browns. 2 on Brian Sipe and 1 here on the indecision as to whether to punt or not.
Well, of course, on a punt, it's not that bad a situation because it's going to bring the ball back to about the 43, 44-yard line, and it's not that bad a decision. But of the 2 other ones that have been called against the offense, those both have hurt because it's 5 yards of precious ground that it's hard to make up.
Game, offense number 7, 4th down.
It's one of the few times a punter can get a penalty.
One of the few times the punter gets his name mentioned. Jeff Gossett. John Harris, the lone safety. And it'll be out of bounds. A flag sails in at about the 32-yard line. It'll be Seattle's football at the 25. A 32-yard punt, no return. And we'll wait for the flag as the Seattle Seahawks offensive unit comes back onto the football field. 6 minutes, 56 seconds to play. We're deadlocked at 3 apiece here at Cleveland Stadium. Holding against the Seahawks. So instead of having the ball 1st down at their own 25, they're going to begin, Dave, again from deep in their own end.
Well, again, they're going to have to drive from deep in their own territory. The conservative approach. They're going to have to use the Kurt Warner runs, the safe Jim Zorn to Largent passes. But again, they're driving from, well, as you said, inside the 50, right at the 15-yard line to another long drive.
Illegal block above the waist from the back. Number 22, post-possession foul. 1st down.
Now the call is on Dave Brown, 9th year out of Michigan, special teams performer. A timeout on the field, 6:56 to play in the 1st half, and we're tied. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
This is Channel 5, KING-TV, Seattle.
Phil Stone along with Dave Rowe. 6 minutes, 56 seconds to play in the 1st half here at Cleveland Stadium. And we're tied at 3 apiece. To the near side, Largent at Kurt Warner. Oh, what a twosome that is to cover. And flags go down.
As we wait for a decision, watch Golick here and Blair Bush. It's quite a push in there. That's what the NFL is really about. If people really want to know what it's like to play in the defensive line, that's what it's like.
Dave, so often you hear about double teaming, and it's primarily used when describing wide receivers, the wide outs. But there's a guy, Bob Golick, and all the nose tackles, the Freddie Smerlises of the world, certainly the Manitou Yasasopos of this game. These guys face double and triple teaming every single play of every single game.
They certainly do. With the uncovered guards, it used to be, when I say used to be, a couple of years ago, they instituted a rule where they can no longer cut the covered nose man as we listen to the call.
Offense number 88, 1st down.
To pick up what I was going to say, they can no longer double team him below his waist. They can double team him up high, but they can't do the old chop block where you let him come onto the center and then the guard just takes a free shot at him.
What it used to be, you're talking about, they used to stand him up and then have another guy cut the legs. Ooh. 1st down and 17 now. The Seahawks crippled by penalties here in the 2nd quarter. Warner. Oh, look at this guy go. On his feet to the 16-yard line. Well, it's not enough to hit him high or hit him low. You got to get a couple of people on number 28.
I'll tell you, he runs like you poured hot water on his back. Everything is moving on him. You know, one of the great receivers, Steve Largent, right there, never gets a lot of credit for blocking, but on a run play like this, he has to pick up somebody. You can see that he's taught well by his receiver coach to block downfield. That's a tribute that not many wide receivers get.
Second down now and 9. Again, look at Warner churn across the 20 out near the 22. That creates a third down, about 4 to go now for the Seahawks at their own 23-yard line.
This situation is where Jim Zorn is so valuable. He has great mobility. He's able to run. He gets that run-pass option by his rollout. And we're just going to watch here and see whether he goes to that man, Kurt Warner, or whether he goes to what the old traditional Seahawks used to do, the rollout sprint out where he has the run-pass option.
Warner now, 9 carries for 54 yards. Here's Warner. The Browns are coming from everywhere. And they shut it down. For the second time in this ball game, the Cleveland defense has held.
We always talk about swarming defenses. That's what coaches always want. They want penetration and swarm. You can see the yellow jersey, the orange pants getting to Kurt Warner. There's 7 or 8 of them in the picture. That is a sign of a good defense. Seattle's done the same thing. The problem that they're going to have this time is that with the punt, they're going to get the ball in excellent field position. One of the few times that Cleveland has had it today.
Jeff West will get it away. Oh, great punt.
Oh, he boomed it. Dino
Hall from his own 30-yard line. For the 37-yard line, and a flag flies in. Good block by Clinton Burrell. A 47-yard punt by West. A 7-yard return.
Boy, he saved a good one for the last one. He really did. This flag will help Seattle also because it's going to put it deeper in their territory. The same thing is unfolding every time. Each team that has the ball has had to drive the 80, 90 yards.
4 minutes and 50 seconds to play before we take you to New York. Studio 6A and NFL 83. Update, highlights, all the scores, action around the league on this, the 5th Sunday of the 1983 football season. So the Browns march back at their own 19-yard line.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, illegal block on the return, number 49 on the receiving team.
Now the call is on Clinton Burrell. And that's got to make that man right there, Sam Redigliano, just bristle. We'll be back in a moment. Well, for the Browns, the second most penalized team in the league coming into today's action, their 5th penalty for 40 yards.
That hurts and a half.
It is 1st and 10 now at their own 19-yard line. Play action, Sipe with time. Wide over the middle. Barry Holt has it at the 32-yard line. Keith Simpson, 6th year out of Memphis State there on the stop. And we'll run down all the highlights and scores for you on NFL 83. But right now, take a look. Washington over the Raiders. Plunkett to Cliff Branch, 99 yards, and your boys are finally on the board.
All right,
Dave.
Clifford.
Minnesota over Dallas, 14-3. Houston and Pittsburgh. Frank Pollard, a 1-yard run, 7-0 Steelers. San Francisco over New England, 14-6. Here it is 3-3 with 4:09 to play in the first half. And sight for Willis Adams, and it rolls off his fingertips. Oh, Keith Simpson was running step for step with Adams, and Sight put it right on the money. About 6 inches too long. A couple of other scores. Philadelphia leading Atlanta 14-7. And Green Bay over Tampa Bay 35-7 second quarter.
This is why this game is a game of inches. You can see that ball was right on the fingertips. And Sipe already is throwing 70%. He's 7-10 for 107 yards.
Dave Logan to the left of your screen. Wide to the top of your screen is. And flags are flying everywhere. Bobby Jones was split wide left. But Bobby stood up as if he thought the play was going to be over before the ball was even snapped. Michael Jackson on the stop.
That's the old famous, I thought it was on too, Coach. I did that a whole bunch of times during my career.
Now the penalty is against the Seahawks, so it'll be 1st and 5 now for the Browns.
Jacob Green there, he's telling him how he's sorry that he didn't mean to jump off sides, but I believe it was Jacob that time. In his anxiety to get to the ball, he started down the line and he realized he was wrong, and he kind of tried to adjust down the line. It looked like he went in motion.
Defense, number 79, 2nd down.
Watch here on the screen. This is what happens when you go early. You try to adjust to come back down the line. A good center right there snapped the ball when he saw the offside penetration. It's an easy 5 yards. But that is one whale of a football player. And he's also playing against a college teammate in Cody Risen, both best friends at Texas A&M. Excuse me.
Johnny Davis, number 38, now into the Cleveland backfield. The give is to Mike Pruitt. And he gets just about to the line of scrimmage. We were talking about Jacob Green, number 79, the left defensive end of the Seahawks, Dave. Not only is he an outstanding football player, he was as whale of a basketball player. Take a look at one more score. Cincinnati now 24-14. Anderson a 3-yard run. You realize when he was at Cashmere High School in Houston, Texas, Jacob Green's basketball team in high school won 83 consecutive games and 2 Texas State high school titles. Hard to believe a guy who's 6'3", 255 can be effective in basketball. Sight just overthrows his receiver, Ozzie Newsome, out at the midfield stripe.
You know, Phyllis, is so true in football and in basketball. You'll find that most of the athletes in football have been great athletes in other sports. You see that all the time. The great football players are great basketball players, and they really enjoy those other sports. They specialize in one, but most athletes are athletes in all different types of sports.
4th down and 3 now. The ball on the 40-yard line. Jeff Gossett will kick it away. John Harris, the lone safety for Seattle, standing at his own 20-yard line. Beautiful day here along the banks of Lake Erie. Temperatures in the mid-70s. Harris should have a return. Out across the 30, near the 35-yard line. So for the first time in the second quarter, Seattle will start with decent field position. Willis Adams rolls him under. 37-yard punt, a 12-yard return for Mr. Harris.
Phil, as we watch Seattle come onto the field, we get the feeling that Seattle is just a caged up team. I've had the feeling the entire first half that they are just ready to explode. They've only scored 3 points. It's a 3-3 game, but they have got the potential to run and pass with anybody.
Yeah, we've certainly documented the presence of Kurt Warner and what it means to this Seattle attack. But they are much more, Dave Rowe, than just a one-dimensional offense here in 1983. Warner starts left, goes right. The Browns sniff it out, and Kurt will not turn the corner this time. And the reason I talk about it being more than a one- or two-dimensional offense is because they work Largent, Warner, Dornick at times. Charlie Young, the tight end, has 7 passes. Next Sunday, join host Len Berman as NFL 83 kicks off week number 6. Then stay tuned for exciting regional action. The Jets take on the Browns, Buffalo and Miami, Houston, and the Denver Broncos. New England is at Baltimore, and Seattle travels to San Diego. Check your local listings for the game and time in your area. Some great matchups coming up next Sunday here on NBC. 2 minutes, 54 seconds to play. Charlie Young in motion. Double pump, screen near side. Warner out across the 40-yard line. Bob Golick, the nose tackle who penetrated, saw what it was going to be, came back and made the tackle.
If Golick doesn't react to this ball once it's thrown, it's a slip screen right in the middle. They just drop the lineman, let your man go, drops it off right here to Warner. If Golick doesn't turn and run back here, we see him coming into our picture in the back there. If he doesn't make that tackle, Kurt Warner goes for 60 or 70 yards.
Dave, it almost seems as if the nose tackle can be wrong a whole lot more times than he can be right, because he's taught to penetrate. And now they're a perfect example of having to drop back. 3rd and 4. Zorn can run for it, and he will. A first down for Seattle, and more importantly, it stops the clock with 2:03 to play. And that's important because it gives Seattle an extra down, a 2-minute warning. He'll not have to take a timeout.
Well, again, you see the mobility of a Jim Zorn. He's in the pocket. He rolls to his left, which he has the option. You can see him looking downfield to pass or run. He sees the marker, and he just makes it inside the marker. Gets out of bounds and saves himself. That's a great mobility, or a great ability of a Jim Zorn. The mobility back there, the threat to run or pass.
Chuck Knox in his 11th year as a head coach in this league. 5 with Buffalo, 5 with the Rams. And now the head man in the Emerald City. Charlie Young goes to the top of your screen. That's Warner. And he is out across the midfield stripe into Browns country at the 48-yard line. You know how close Reggie Camp, the left defensive end, came to batten that ball away, and I think if he'd have hit it, it might have been ruled a lateral. We're at the 2-minute warning. 1:55 seconds to play on the first half. We'll be back. The Seattle Seahawks with the ball at the Cleveland 48-yard line. 1:55 seconds to play on the first half. We're tied at 3 apiece. And Dave, this is exactly the kind of game we expected here today.
Well, we certainly expected with 2 fine defenses, and they're 2 teams that are coached by 2 outstanding football coaches. I have the utmost respect for both those coaches. During my career, I would have liked to have played for both of them. They're that type of people.
2nd down and 4. As Zorn tries to march the Seahawks into scoring position here in the later stages of the first half. Zorn goes left, comes back right. That's David Hughes. He has the ball at the 45-yard line, short of the first down. Forward progress will be to the 45. Tom Cousineau, what tremendous upper body strength.
You know, I ran out next to Tom Cousineau before the game. We were out there, and he worked out with a T-shirt on, and I didn't take off my sport coat because I didn't want to embarrass him, but I'm telling you, he had a pair of arms looked like ham hocks. Woo.
Seattle with 2 timeouts remaining. 3rd down and a yard at the 45-yard line. The Browns watching 4 down linemen, 5 defensive backs. Zorn sees something he doesn't like and wants to call a timeout. Dave Rowe, what did it see?
He saw 8 defensive people up on the front line. He knew it was a blitz. He knew it was going to come, and he had to call timeout.
Hey, there's Paul Warfield. Who's Paul Warfield? He's a pro football player. Hey, there's the real Paul Warfield.
Come to see the Hall of Fame. We never thought we'd see you here.
I just happened to be here, but how would you like to take a special tour of the Hall of Fame with me?
Yeah!
Come on, let's go. If you're a photo fan like I am, there's a million pictures to be taken at the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
We're not saying that the next time you visit the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you will meet a football great like Paul Warfield, but you will have the time of your life. The Pro Football Hall of Fame is where dreams come true. It's over 50,000 square feet of exhibits, covering over 90 years of pro football history.
Mr. Warfield, could we have just one picture?
Sure.
They're all here, the stories, the dreams, the inspirations, here for you to see and enjoy at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. Don't miss it.
The preceding announcement was furnished by the National Football League and Paul Warfield, who Dave Rowe is sitting to our right up here in the broadcast facility here in Cleveland. Of course, Paul inducted in the Hall of Fame right down the road in Canton, Ohio in July. One of the all-time great people, one of the class men to ever play this game of pro football.
Outstanding.
Third down and 1. Listen to this crowd of some 80,000. Play action. Zorn. He's got a receiver. Largen's open. That is just great athletic ability by Larry Brazil, a guy the Baltimore Colts had no use for anymore.
Well, they certainly did. The stigma on Larry Brazil has been that he has not played the run well, but he played the pass exceptionally well on that play. It was interesting to see that Zorn came back to his old favorite, Steve Largent.
Jeff West, pressure, almost blocked. He gets a boomer off. Dino Hall will let it bounce. It goes into the end zone. A touchback. The Browns will have 48 seconds to traverse 80 yards. They'll begin at their own 20-yard line. A 45-yard punt by Jeff West. Sam Ratigliano, in his 6th season as head coach of the Cleveland Browns, twice coach of the year. You realize, Dave, that his first job in the pros was as pass offensive coordinator for Lou Saban's old Denver Broncos back in the late 60s. Incidentally, beginning Tuesday night, stay with NBC for all of the excitement of the American and National League Championship Series. Our coverage begins Tuesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time from Dodger Stadium. Sight. Look at this time. All the time in the world. That's Newsom. His first reception of the afternoon, and he's out near the 30-yard line, and instead of diving out of bounds, he dove across the 30. Bruce Schultz on the hit.
He did go out of bounds because I saw the referee's hat came flying in there, which is an indication that he was out of bounds. Now, whether he went out before he caught the ball or not is another question.
Pass receiver had run out of bounds and was the first to touch the ball when he returned to the field of play. It is simply an incomplete pass and a loss of down. Second down.
You know, I really appreciate that, Bill, when an official takes the time to explain to a crowd. We've got almost 80,000 people here that would be totally upset at a play like that, but he explained it, told what happened, and it was obvious that he had come out of bounds and come back in.
Well, the rule, to even simplify it more, is once you go out of bounds as a pass receiver, you cannot again come back inbounds and catch the ball.
And touch it first.
And touch it first. Second down and 10. The loss of down. 35 seconds to play in the first half. Sipe over the middle. That's Harry Holt at the 27-yard line. Shelton Robinson pulls him under. The Browns called a timeout with 29 seconds to play. Do you realize Shelton Robinson was a tight end at college at North Carolina?
And he was amongst some good.
Well, there was a reason for that, too. The linebackers there.
They had that was the days of course, Taylor.
Lawrence Taylor.
Who else? I'll let you come up with that.
Wiltshire.
Yeah, Wiltshire was another. That's exactly right.
Mike Wiltshire.
Yep.
And there's a guy that plays with Kansas City, and I can't remember his name. Cronin?
There were 3 outstanding players there, and they had to move him to tight end because of that reason. And I imagine right now he's happy that they did.
Now there you look at Brian Sipe, 8 of 13, and Brian Sipe pulls no punches when he talks about his rejuvenation here in 1983. He says it is Larry Weaver.
Yeah, he's much more comfortable this year than what he has been in the past with different schemes of the different offensive coaches. Larry Weaver has come in from San Diego, and we all know the great success that San Diego has had with the Kellen Winslows and the Chuck Muncies, and of course Charlie Joyner and those. They were able to trade players and still stay fantastic with that scheme. And it is a developed scheme that Larry Weaver played an integral part of, and Brian Sipe feels very comfortable, not only with Larry Weaver in the scheme, but now with his offensive line. An interesting thing is that with only 29 seconds left on the clock, 3-3, you're deep in your own territory. You're not just trying to merely run out the clock and get into the locker room.
Third down and 2, the ball at the 28. 29 seconds to play in the first half. Capacity crowd on hand here at Cleveland Stadium, some 80,000. Right over center, that's Dave Logan to the 38-yard line, and again they stopped the clock. That play with only 6 ticks of the clock. 23 seconds left.
As we said, when Dave Logan is well, he's well. And he's well on this play. You see him just merely cut back in. It's a well-thrown ball. You couldn't have thrown that ball any better. And the coverage was excellent on it. That is just an outstanding pass. It's no fault of Seattle that that pass is completed.
Well, it was completed right in front of Keith Butler. Interesting thing about the Seattle defense, Dave, so much is made of their 6 #1 draft choices that play on defense. The entire front three, Green, Manitou Asasopo, and Jeff Bryant. Certainly the guys in the defensive secondary, Simpson, Easley, Dave Brown, that you hardly ever hear about the Seahawks linebackers. Guys like Schultz, Robinson, Butler, Michael Jackson, Eugene Williams. Not a bad bunch of linebackers.
No, far from that. But I really believe the reason that you haven't heard about those players is that, first of all, you hear so much Zorn and Largent. Steve and Jimmy Zorn have been fantastic, and they've really been the only offensive threat that Seattle has had. But the #1 draft choices and the defense has not been heralded. Also, these players are all young players. That's one thing that Chuck Knox was really excited about when he went to Seattle, is that these are young players that are going to be with the team. He came in and he's going to build his team around draft choices and young players that are going to give stability there. As they come of age, believe me, they are going to be a very dominant factor in the defensive statistics of the National Football League.
Do the Seahawks, in your estimation, have enough talent yet to challenge the Raiders and the Chargers in the AFC West?
Well, that's a great question. I wish I knew the answer, but I think they're coming. I really do. I see the young Jacob Greens, the Tuiasosopo's, the Jeff Bryants as the stars of the future. With the coaching staff they've put together, I think they're going to just be an outstanding team.
Now the flags fly and the whistles sound. It will be against Cleveland. Could be delay a game again.
I doubt it on a timeout.
Yeah,
it's got to be something else.
Illegal procedure. 21 seconds to play, and the Browns will march back 5 more.
This is a situation when you bring in a lot of extra defensive backs because you know the ball's going to be thrown long, again, with only 21 seconds on the clock.
Illegal procedure on the center. First down.
Now it's called on Mike Babb, who took over this year for the age-old Tom DeLeon.
Now, that's an interesting call right there. How can a center be offsides? You know what he did, Phil? I'll tell you exactly what he did. He wiggled the ball to draw the defense offsides. Referee, line judge that was behind the line caught it and called the foul or the penalty on him. It's a very interesting call because really a center can't be offsides.
Now, Mike Babb had a good quote not long ago when he was talking about taking over for Tom DeLeon. DeLeon had been the man here for 12 years out of Ohio State, and now in comes a second-year man out of Texas and says, hey, I came here to start. It's no fun sitting the bench, particularly in Cleveland. It gets cold sitting on the bench.
Well, it's not cold today, though.
First and 15, 23 ticks remaining on the clock. Sight with time. Right over the top. It is Harry Holt at the 45-yard line of Seattle. And again, the Browns call their final timeout. Danny Easley, Keith Butler on the stop. Well, when Sipe has time,
you have to admire the defensive line of Seattle. They've got 5 men blocking on 3. They chose not to send any linebackers. You can see the work there. Easley just comes in. Excuse me. Harry Holt just comes right into a little seam right there and comes up with the ball. And that was just, again, a well-thrown ball. You can see the zone, 3 deep, 4 deep zone defense here. They throw it in the seam. It's behind the linebackers, which are dropping 12 to 15 yards. The deep secondary is dropping about 18 to 20. It's just a seam throw. Excellent pass.
Now for Harry Holt, who had the big 48-yard winning touchdown a week ago in overtime against the Chargers. That one good for 22 yards. Sipe completing 66% of his passes thus far in the first half for about 100.5. Holt has caught 3 of those for 44 yards.
In a situation like this, the defense has 2 philosophies that they can run. They can either rush a linebacker to put pressure on the quarterback, or else they can drop their 8 men deep into their zone defense. The last 2 plays, Seattle has chosen to just work their front 3 men, drop 8 deep. Let's see if they change it this time, because they're absolutely getting no pressure on Brian Sipe.
Again, all the time in the world, unloads, and he's got Ozzie Newsome out of bounds at the 33 with 6 seconds to play, and here comes Matt Barr. Now, like Zorn, who goes to Largent when he needs the important yardage, Sipe looks no place else but to number 82, Ozzie Newsome.
Ozzie, the 4th leading all-time Cleveland receiver. He continues a streak of 55 games in which he's caught a pass. What a war horse. He's in some great company.
From 52 yards away, this will fall way short. The time expires. Matt Barr, a 52-yard attempt, not even close. The Seattle Seahawks with the field goal from 25 yards away in the first period. Matt Barr with 14:18 left in the second quarter, converted from 40 yards away, and that is where we stand. It is halftime at Cleveland Stadium. It's Seattle 3, the Cleveland Browns 3.
Welcome back to NFL 83, Len Berman in New York. What else? Let's go right to the scoreboard. Lots of big happenings all around the National Football League today. In our nation's capital, the Redskins leading the undefeated LA Raiders 17-7 in the second quarter. Look at this play. A first down from their own 1. Play action fake. Plunkett looks like Bart Starr used to do it. 99 yards to Cliff Branch. But it's not enough. That's all they have thus far. The Washington defense has tormented the Raiders at 17-7 in the second quarter. Elsewhere, the hapless Denver offense, Chicago leads them 24-0. Dallas may lose their first. It's 24-10 now. The Vikings on top. Hey, Houston may actually win a game. They now lead Pittsburgh 10-7 in the third quarter. The game you're watching at halftime, not much offense, 3-3 the score there. San Francisco leading New England. The Patriots looking for their 3rd straight upset. Philadelphia over Atlanta, 21-7. Good day thus far for Ron Jaworski there. Cincinnati over Baltimore. The Bengals offense has finally come alive. They lead the Colts 24-14 at halftime. And the score of the day in Green Bay. After doing nothing against the Giants last Monday night, they now lead Tampa Bay 49-7 at halftime. That is an NFL record, the most points ever scored in a half. And Frank Howard has just been fired as manager of the New York Mets. The Mets have yet to name his successor. So you have all the scores we have them right now at halftime. Let's send you back to Cleveland Stadium.
Welcome back to Cleveland. We are tied here. It is halftime. The Seattle Seahawks 3, the Cleveland Browns 3. Dave, we heard coming into this ball game that both the Browns and the Seahawks wanted to run the ball, but I think both defenses kind of knew it was coming.
They certainly did. There's no surprises in this game. It's just a hard-fought game, Phil.
As far as Jimmy Zorn and Brian Sipe are concerned, they're hitting their receivers, but the defenses are doing a great job of clogging the passing lanes.
Well, there haven't been any major mistakes. There's been some penalties, but there have been no major mistakes where a team has got the advantage of the ball, say, inside the other team's 50-yard line. So consequently, they've had to drive a long way.
If you're Chuck Knox, what are you telling your offensive unit for the second half of this ball game?
Well, as I said during the telecast, I feel as if Seattle is a caged-up team that's ready to explode. The same thing can be said of Cleveland. They are a very explosive offensive team. I'd say just go back and do the things that we're doing. We're playing well. Our defense has kept us in the ball game. Just continue to do the things right.
And certainly for the Cleveland Browns, they know what it's about to win, and they have experienced winning certainly here in 1983. After that opening day loss, they've come back to win 3 in a row, trying to make it 4 in a row. You had a chance to talk with the new Seattle skipper before this game, Chuck Knox, and I thought he had some other interesting things to say.
Oh, he certainly did. I had a good chance to talk with him. He's a very, very likable coach. I really enjoyed sharing a few moments on the field with him about his great Seattle team.
Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
Coach, they say there's an attitude change in Seattle. It started with Mike McCormick, now general manager, and it goes on with Chuck Knox. What have you done to change the attitude of the Seattle Seahawks?
Well, we just try to be positive about everything we do. We try to have reasons on the football field. The things that we're concerned about primarily are the disciplines on the football field. And the players have had a great attitude. They've worked as hard as any football team that I've ever had.
Well, you're kind of making football fun again, aren't you?
Well, we try to have some fun, and certainly, you know, it's a tough job. You're under a lot of pressure for 6 months. You're going 7 days a week. You put in a lot of hours in, so you got to have a little bit of fun. But the greatest fun in football is winning, and that's something that we're trying to do.
Great. You've gone on and you've coached some great football players, and you've played against great football players, the O.J. Simpsons, the Jim Browns, the Gale Sayers. How would you compare Kurt Warner to those type of people?
Well, those players have all done it. Certainly Kurt Warner has the potential to be as good as some of those players if he's surrounded with the right supporting cast, if he can develop the offensive line to the place where they can give him some daylight. But he's got all of the tools that you have to be a great running back in the National Football League. He's got great lateral cutting ability. He can get in and out of holes. He's explosive. He's strong. He's a good pass receiver coming out of the backfield. He's a good blocker. We don't ask him to do too much of that, but when we do ask him to do it, he goes and puts his nose in there.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you.
Interesting to hear Chuck Knox compare Kurt Warner to some of the greats, some of the legends in this game of football. We'll be right back after these messages and a word from your local station with more NFL 83.
Well, don't finish. Johnny said, "You're pretty good, old son. But sit down in that chair and tell me, show you how it's done."
Are back on the field here at Cleveland Stadium, where we're tied. Seattle 3, the Browns 3. Coming into this ball game, the Browns average almost 25 points a game. The Seattle Seahawks with a 20 points per game average. And Dave Rowe, take a look at how close this ball game is, not only on the scoreboard,
but in the statistics. These statistics really tell the game. You can see the total yards, 179 to 182. Very little difference in the total yards. But look at the time of possession. Both teams have had the ball within 12 seconds of each other. That just shows that it's an even game. As the score indicates, at 3-3. It's been an outstanding game. I don't think you could have asked for a better 3-3 game at halftime.
Now, both teams have gone up and down the field. The one problem is both ball clubs, the Browns and the Seahawks, have taken the ball in decent field position and have been penalized back deep in their own territory. That'll kill you.
That's been the story. Both teams have had to drive, as we've indicated several times. They've each had to drive the 70 or 80 yards. There's only been one turnover, and it wasn't a critical turnover. By a critical turnover, I mean it didn't happen within the other team's territory, say the 50-yard line, inside the 50-yard line given to your opposing team. So they both played very clean, very hard-fought football, and it's been an outstanding game.
Dave, we mentioned during NFL 83, certainly Brian Sipe has been under a lot of pressure this week. Newspaper headlines here, the USFL's New Jersey Generals are after him. He is in the final year of his contract. So is his backup, Paul McDonald. What kind of pressure does that place on a quarterback?
There is an awful lot of pressure, but the one thing that'll relieve pressure faster than anything is the way that your teammates react. And we know the story that happened this week with the writing of the Generals on Brian Sipe's helmet. That will relieve the pressure so fast. Plus, I think Brian Sipe really wants to play for Sam Rutigliano. He has a great amount of respect. He has Larry Weaver, as we've indicated. He's got a new offensive philosophy. He feels very comfortable with it, and he wants to be here in Cleveland.
We're set to go. Norm Johnson will kick it away for the Seahawks. Dwight Walker, number 42, and Boyce Green, number 30. Back at the goal line. And it'll be the pride and joy of Carson Newman College, Boyce Green, to the 17-yard line, and he is down there by Bruce Schultz, second year out of Texas. Boyce Green, member of the Fighting Eagles. Carson Newman. Whoa, look out.
We've got an injured man down on the field down there, Phil. Can't really make out who it is, but it is a Cleveland player. I can tell that because he has an orange helmet and orange pants.
Yeah, we'll put the glasses on him. It is still very, very difficult to tell who it is. It is Scott Nicholas, number 58, Scott Nicholas. Oh, well, the medical staff looks after him. We'll be back. Today's game is brought to you by Chevrolet, official U.S. car and trucks of the 14th Olympic Winter Games. Chevrolet and you taking charge. By Arby's, home of deli specialty sandwiches, including Arby's Sub and Roast Beef Deluxe. And by Michelob Light, an exceptional light beer with a rich, smooth taste. Stone and Dave Rowe just underway. 14:52 remaining in the third period, and we are tied at 3. Johnny Davis, Mike Pruitt, the setbacks, and the I formation for the Browns. Bobby Jones in motion. That's Pruitt. Finds the hole, but it is not open very long before Bruce Schultz moves in to shut it off. Now you take a look at Mr. Schultz. In last year's finale against the Broncos, Dave, he had a dozen tackles, forced a fumble, recovered a fumble, deflected a couple of passes.
Mr. Everything out there.
That's a day's work.
You know what's so different about him is that he's 6'6".
The two tight end is now for the Browns. His sight goes back. Picked off. Look out, Robinson to the 11-yard line. Doug Deacon finally brings him down. Deacon, 12th year out of Illinois. And the Seahawks with a big break here in the opening seconds of the third period.
Well, as we watch Sipe drop back here, we know that Sheldon Robinson, we talked about him, number 57, a former tight end. You can see his reaction to the ball. He catches it like a tight end, and he certainly knows what to do with it when he catches it. This is the first critical mistake that either team has made. Seattle's got excellent field position around the 11-yard line. Let's see what Jimmy Zorn can do with it.
Now the Seahawks are tough to stop when they get deep in your territory. The I formation. Kurt Warner down inside the 5. Clarence Scott, the free safety, playing for the injured Mike Whitwell on the tackle.
There's an interesting player right there. In past times, the Seattle Seahawks, of course, would have used the arm of Jim Zorn and his running ability, but they have a running threat. We talked about it, ground chuck, if we can pun a term, but they certainly feel confident with Warner back there.
Again out of the eye. Hughes the up back. Warner will go right in behind Hughes. He dives in, and I think he's going to be down about a yard short, maybe inside the wood. Zorn indicating about 2 feet to go. It'll be.
This is an interesting run as we watch from ground level here. No one really looked as if they hit Warner. He looked as if he just stumbled. He should have had been able to use this impetus to get into the end zone, but the referee evidently saw it, that he was tripped up, called it down on the 1-foot line. Looks like it's trouble for the Cleveland Browns right now.
Now the Seahawks with a first down and 4 tries to punch it in from the 1-foot line. Warner up and over, touchdown Seahawks. Warner, his 4th touchdown as a professional.
Phil, you saw where they went on that touchdown run over Reggie McKenzie, number 67. We can watch this from ground level. You can see the surge and charge. Now watch Warner up and over. He gets hit right there. Great balance. And again, he comes down inside for a touchdown.
Now the man who hit him normally does not allow you to budge an inch once he lays the pads on you, Chip Banks. But Warner simply had too much momentum. Norm Johnson on. 12:37 to play in the third quarter. He will try and make it a 10-3 Seattle lead. And he does it. It's perfect. So 12:37 to play in the third quarter, and the Seahawks with the first touchdown of this ball game. They lead it 10-3.
NFL 83 is coming at you with pro football's very best. The Bills from Buffalo take on the AFC champion Dolphins, or the Kansas City Chiefs battle the explosive LA Raiders, plus hard-hitting regional action on NBC.
You can be sure that Browns-Jets game will be quite a shootout here at Cleveland Stadium. Seahawks in San Diego. In San Diego. Look out there. We're set to go. Norm Johnson will kick it away. White Walker and Dino Hall. And it'll be Dino Hall at the 2-yard line. Flag goes down. Dino Hall goes out.
we talked about the attitude change of the Seattle Seahawks. I think it is so evident on their coverage teams. They have, every time Cleveland has caught the ball on a run back, they have not made it out to the 20-yard line. Any team should be able to make it out to the 20-yard line. That's where they give you if you don't run it out. But Seattle, has continually kept Cleveland back in the hole with their outstanding special teams.
Now the Browns will start from their own 8-yard line. Let's listen to Chuck Haberling.
Illegal block on the return. Number 80 on the receiver. First down.
It's on Willis Adams. Keep your eyes on number 35, Don Dufek. He is the headhunter on this ball club.
Boy, he looks like
it.
Look at him run. He's just flying straight out just as hard as he can. There he is, right into play. Uses his body. Look at that. You can't ask for anything more than that from a player.
Sipe, screen pass. That's Pruitt. He's across the 10, out near the 12-yard line. Michael Jackson on the tackle. Now the Seahawks leading the Browns 10-3. Of course, Cleveland a week ago with that very, very emotional overtime win over the Chargers. You know, Dave, you look back at this season, Seattle beat San Diego and then lost to the Redskins. The Jets beat the Chargers in San Diego and then lost to the New England Patriots. It must be much more difficult to keep that peak than people think.
It's been a topsy-turvy season. A lot of games, as you indicated, have been decided by 7 points or less.
Through the left side, it's Pruitt again. You look at the 1983 season, 32 of the 56 games played in the first 4 weeks were decided by 7 points or less.
It's been a very, very low-scoring, but close-scoring season so far. Phil, I had an interesting note that I wrote down on Don Dufek, that he was drafted, one of the few NFL players I've ever heard of that was drafted by a hockey team. I can't imagine that, but he must be quite a player.
3rd and short. Sipe to put it up. That's Newsom. First down at the 25-yard line. Bruce Schultz lassoed. Now we talked about what a great game he had in the season finale a year ago against the Broncos. This guy, outstanding. Big linebacker.
Yes, he is. He's got great mobility there. You can see what it's like to play linebacker trying to guard an Ozzie Newsome. Ozzie Newsome really epitomizes what you think a tight end today should be. He's the Kellen Winslow, those type of tight ends that can get downfield 18 to 20 yards and catch that pass. They're no longer a big tight end as a blocking tight end. They're more of a receiver, a wide receiver.
First and 10. Sipe. Willis Adams is wide open. And he's down at the Seattle 49-yard line. The ball popped loose, but the catch will stand.
Oh, boy. Seattle should argue over this one. This is going to be questionable as to whether he caught the ball and hit the ground before he fumbled. I thought, in my initial view, that the ball came loose. As we watch Sipe, you can see Adams coming from the left part of your screen. Now, see when the ball comes out.
Catch from that angle.
Yes, it does. It did. That's what's so great about our cameras. And those NFL referees are right on top of it. You can't go against them.
Now the crowd comes to life here on 1st and 10. Here comes the steamroller, and look out, a face mask, but the referee didn't catch it. John Harris brought him down, and somebody had Pruitt's face mask, I believe.
You know, the dominant factor about Pruitt is that he really, as he goes, so go the Cleveland Browns. Mike Pruitt has carried the ball, as we indicated in our pregame in NFL 83. They talked about it, that he's carried the ball 90 times, whereas the next closest running back has carried 9 times.
And that's Johnny Davis, and you go after that. Dwight Walker has only carried it 5 times. 2nd down and 2. Again, and another flag sails in, and Dave Logan caught the flag. I have never, ever seen that.
This goes against the Cleveland Browns. That man, Sam Rutigliano, is going to be upset.
The field judge, Charlie Musser, who stands behind the defensive secondary, threw the flag in, and Logan, running a pattern, stuck his arm up, and it wedged right in his elbow. And it'll be against the Browns.
Holding, offense, number 81, second down.
Phil, there are two things that cause penalties on a team, on an offense or defensive teams. Those two things are, number one, aggression, which you do not want to subside. You want that aggression. But the second thing is carelessness. The great coach I had, John Madden, used to always tell us, if you can read his numbers, you can read his name, don't block him.
Second down and 12 now. And here come the Seahawks. Seif unloads in a hurry. Harry Holt has it, fumbles the ball, and he recovered his own fumble. Kenny Easley had a beautiful opportunity to cover it and couldn't get hold of the pigskin.
Easley had to cover Harry Holt coming from the left part of your screen. Had to cover him man on man. It was a blitz situation. Watch the move that Easley right there rips up, knocks the ball out. You'll see it come out. There's the ball down on the ground. Holt comes back up and just barely gets it. Could have been a big play for Seattle.
First and 10 at the 36. Holt has now caught 4 passes for 60 yards. Bobby Jones in motion to the top. Here's Pruitt dancing, squirming through the left side. Oh, they like to try that left side, don't they, Dave Rowe? Robert Jackson, Doug Deacon.
That's been a war horse over there, Doug Deacon. 12 years he's played. Do you know that an interesting stat, I think you told me this, Phil, that there's only been 3 left tackles in the Cleveland Browns history? Is that true?
In 37 years, there have only been 3 regular offensive left tackles. Dick Shafrath before Deacon, and before Shafrath, the legendary Lou Groza. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
This is KING-TV, Channel 5, Seattle.
Play action, sight. For Newsome. It's fumbled and the Seahawks recover it. Oh, a wild play. It was intercepted by Keith Simpson, and along the way on the return path, he coughed it up. And another first-round draft choice on that secondary, Dave Brown, fell on it. 7:03 to play in the third period.
Here as Seif goes to Newsom, you can see Keith Simpson in the background in a 3-deep zone defense intercept the football. There's the fumble and an alert. Who was that came in there? Dave Brown came in there, one of the older veterans.
The crowd of some 80,000 in Cleveland is on its feet. On the 20-yard line, Jim Zorn on 1st and 10. Seahawks with a 10-3 lead. Zorn, short drop to Largent. He's got it out of bounds at the 28-yard line. Larry Brazil there to force him out. Short of the first down. But it presents the Seahawks, Dave, with an optimum situation here. Short yardage on second down.
It's a classic second down and 1 or 2. You can go for the long pass, but it's surprising to see Steve Largent catch that quick out. That's been one of the problems that Larry Brazil, number 47 of Cleveland, has had, is that he does not play up on his wide receivers. And they can go back to that pass anytime they want to.
There's the one setback offense. Warner starts inside, dances outside, and then goes back inside and picks up the first down.
Now, you know, he didn't make much yardage on that. He didn't make hardly, well, he made the first down. But he had about 5 or 6 moves on that play, and you can see it as evidenced in our linebackers. Look at him here, going inside, going back outside, and there's Warner back inside. He's got more moves, and boy, I can't even tell you. He is an outstanding player.
He keeps that up. He's going to blow out a few spikes here before the 83 season ends. First down, Seahawks. Zorn to Taylor. First down out of the midfield stripe. Check that. Charlie Young, 6'4", 11th year out of Trojan country. Clarence Scott on the tackle.
Phil, that's one of the leaders that they brought in here, that Chuck Knox brought in here, Charlie Young, an 11-year veteran. Chuck Knox knew that he had to have some stability in his veterans. He had to bring in some players to give stability to not only his offensive line with Reggie McKenzie, but to his wide receivers. With the resurgence of a young Kurt Warner, he brought in Charlie Young for that stability and that factor. And Charlie's going to give him 2 or 3 really good years. Also, Harold Jackson was another person that he brought in.
The fullback, Hughes through the right side on his feet to the Cleveland 45-yard line. Tom Cousineau slipping out to the left side to bring him down. You talk about Warner's worth as a ball runner and receiver. Take a look here.
He's not only a runner, he's a blocker. That's a good block right there. That's how I used to block when I ran at Penn State. And look who he's going against. Chip Banks. No slouch in the NFL.
Second down and 5. 5 minutes, 3 seconds to play in the third quarter. It is 10-3 Seattle. Warner will get just about back to the line of scrimmage before Ambrose shuts it off. Scores around the league. Washington stepping it out over the undefeated Raiders, 20-7.
Oh no.
Now, the only noise the Raiders have made, 99-yard pass from Plunkett to Branch. Look at this one. San Francisco leading New England 23-6. Wershing's kicked 3 field goals in that one. Cincinnati managing to stay just ahead of the Baltimore Colts. In motion, the shotgun on 3rd and 5. Flag goes down, the play will be whistled off. And when that happens, it is against the offense. Illegal procedure.
With the noise situation that we have here today, we've got almost 80,000 people screaming here for their defense to play well. It's very hard for those offensive linemen to make their initial line calls and yet hear the snap count. Plus the fact that Zorn, rather than up on the line, is back in a shotgun position about 5 or 6 yards off the ball, so it even complicates the hearing of the snap count.
Dave, so often we hear that an offensive line is a great pass blocking line, but a so-so run blocking line. Why is it so difficult to be proficient at both?
Well, really, it takes 2 types of players to be great at each one of those. As a run blocker, you have to have tremendous strength. You have to be able to leg strength, drive, initial charge off the ball. As a pass blocker, you have to be a finesse type person. You can't be overpowering. You have to play with the man. You give yardage grudgingly.
There is no foul. The lineman was in a 2-point stance and did not break the 3. 3rd down.
Incidentally, Joe Norman, linebacker with the Seahawks, a knee injury. He will not return today. We are uncertain as to the severity of that injury. It is 3rd and 4. Dan Dornick has come in, and he is the man Zorn likes to go to on 3rd and short. Watch Dornick. He'll go downfield. Harold Jackson. No catch. He came down with the ball, but he was out of bounds, and Dornick was wide open.
Oh, boy, what a catch by Harold Jackson. 16 years in this league he's played. Watch the effort as we look on the end. Now watch Harold Jackson there. Coming into your screen, look at that effort to catch that ball and stay in bounds. He doesn't run like a 16-year-old player, does he? I should say 16 years in the NFL.
Well, if he hangs around a few years, he'll make something of himself.
I told him today my exciting moment was when I got his bubble gum card.
Jeff West will kick it away, and he's got a boomer heading for the sidelines, and Dino Hall will watch it sail. Another good punt inside the 20-yard line and out of bounds, out near the 12, possibly the 13. Jeff West has done it again, succeeds in putting the Browns deep in their own territory here in the 3rd quarter. That punt just a moment ago by Seattle's Jeff West, 33 yards. He's averaging 37 yards today, well under his 1983 season average. But, Dave, that total number isn't always the proof in the pudding.
That's a very misleading figure. He has had about 0 yards returned, or 2 or 3.
On 1st and 10, play action. Logan out pattern, will not be able to get it before he goes out of bounds. Now this is where the quarterback controversies tend to heat up in situations identical to this one. You got Seif and McDonald going into the regular season right up to the final week. It was uncertain who would be number 1. Your ball club is down now by a touchdown. 3:49 to play in the 3rd period. As you take a look at the number 2 man in the scheme of things, and you wonder what San Francisco might be thinking right now.
Well, McDonald has indicated this year that he wants to go somewhere else and play. He's not satisfied riding the benches. It's a very tough position to sit there and wait for an opportunity and hope that somebody gets hurt for you to make an opportunity to play.
Now Seif drills it into Harry Holt. Shelton Robinson is right on top of him. It'll be short of the first down by about a yard, I believe. The officials say he got it. Our angle a bit deceiving. Clock continues to run. 3:24, 3:23 to play in the 3rd period. The 30-yard line, a pickup of about 8. Again, Shelton Robinson. They are really running at number 5-7.
Yes, they are. You want to see what a hole looks like in the offensive line. Here's the hole. There's a stunt game right there. There's the hole. It's a perfect cross block. They caught him in a stunt. That's a little bit misleading in that Jacob Green was on a stunt with the linebacker. But you know, an interesting thing we talked about, 8 out of the 9 drives the Browns have started on have been well inside the 20-yard line.
Again, Pruitt. This time he is stacked up. Jeff Bryant, the right defensive end. Kenny Easley also there to finish him off. Couple of scores here. Pittsburgh leading the Houston Oilers 14-7. Cliff Stout, a touchdown pass.
Well, you know what's interesting about that game? A team that's not doing well will always play well against a team that is top.
And take a look at this one. Philadelphia over Atlanta 21-14.
2 teams that certainly feel they have a division title chance.
1:38 to play here in the 3rd quarter. Here comes Pruitt. He's got a first down, still on his feet to the 40. And he just ran right through the tackle of Jeff Bryant.
Well, when you talk about Greg Pruitt, you have to talk about leg strength, vision, speed, size. There's a lot of words. But this is effort. Watch this effort right here when he's caught right there. There's another 2-3 yards. He's always falling forward. Tremendous strength. Mike Pruitt, what a player.
We have an injury, and it is Jeff Bryant. We'll be back to Cleveland in a moment.
Moments ago in Pittsburgh, Houston looking for their first win of the year, but they've got the lead. Cliff Stout rolls out, is chased. He throws it on the run, 51 yards to Walter Abercrombie. Pittsburgh regains the lead. Let's go back to Cleveland.
Thanks, Len Berman. The question is, Dave Rose, can the Steelers ride the arm of Cliff Stout for an entire season?
Well, he's not a Terry Bradshaw, that's for sure. But the Pittsburgh Steelers have got an arsenal back there with Franco Harris that they can play against anyone.
1 minute, 8 seconds to play on a turning clock here at Cleveland Stadium. The Seahawks with a 10-3 lead. 1st and 10. Here's Pruitt again. As long as you can chew up 7, 8, 9 yards a carry, keep throwing it to number 43. And Pruitt is doing just that. Shelton Robinson on the stop with help from John Harris. Chicago Bears pumping the Broncos 24-7. Nathan Poole, a 15-yard run for Chicago in the third period. In San Francisco, Montana to Dwight Clark from 13 yards away with 1:30 left in the third quarter. 30-6, 49ers. Watch this play go. Harry Holt, and he might have made a yard on the end around. Dave Brown.
What an outstanding play by Dave Brown on this number 22. He never gets fooled on the reverse. As he comes into your picture, you see him break down perfect. He'll be coming in left of your screen right there. Breaks down perfect. And watch him trying to get the ball out here at the end. Just trying to dig that ball. A perfect tackle.
At the end of the third quarter, the score, Seattle 10, the Browns 3. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. Today's game is brought to you by Jeep Cherokee and Jeep Wagoneer. When it comes to four-wheel drive, one word says it all. Jeep. By AT&T Information Systems. And by a tool for modern times, the IBM personal computer. Bill Stone with Dave Rowe as we begin fourth quarter action here at Cleveland Stadium. The Browns and Brian Sipe are trying desperately to find a way to move the football.
Phil, if this is a typical fall day in Cleveland, I'd love to be here. It's beautiful weather.
Mike Pruitt, Johnny Davis, the setbacks. There's Pruitt right in behind Davis. He's into the Seattle secondary. He ran right through Bruce Schultz.
You know, we gave credit to Steve Largent before, but watch Willie Adams come in here and block easily. Boy, that's what you call coming off the line. Woo! I thought they were dancing.
14 minutes, 28 seconds to play in this ball game. It is first and 10 Browns. Pruitt, sweep left. And he is inside the 40-yard line. Michael Jackson had him. Brown rolled him out. Let's go to New York now for an update from NFL 83.
Okay, thanks, Phil. You had some good moves on that last play. Check these moves out. Plunkett goes back, fakes, then throws. Great catch by Calvin Muhammad for the touchdown. The Raiders are now within 6. Back to Cleveland.
Your never say die Raiders, Dave Rowe.
Uh-oh, what'd they do?
Now they're back within 6 now of the Washington Redskins.
Oh, Plunkett, he's coming through. Don't worry.
Second down and 2. The ball at the 37. Again, Pruitt around the left side and right into the grasp of Kenny Easley. But it's another first down. Good clearing block from the pulling guard, Joe DeLamielleure.
Watch Kenny Easley as he reacts here. He's got to take on DeLamielleure coming in here. Good stick. That's quite a stick on Pruitt.
Well, they're running right behind Dave, Robert Jackson and Doug Deacon, and getting DeLamielleure to pull. Pruitt, 21 carries, 90 yards.
Well, he needs 6 more to get his average because he's been averaging 96 yards a game for the first 4 games.
Sipe with time for Newsome.
As we talked earlier about Ozzie Newsome, he's the prototype offensive tight end. He can get downfield. Sipe goes to him in this instance. It's an excellent catch. He plays as if he's a wide receiver again. Great coverage by Kenny Easley. 3 receptions, 42 yards. That's why they call him the Wizard of Oz, and they've got him standing in Cleveland.
That went good for 22 yards to the Seattle Seahawks 11-yard line. Stop, 13:32 to play. Sipe will put it in the air. He is hit right in the breadbasket at the 6-yard line. Michael Jackson. It's just how they teach you.
Oh, boy, did Brian Sipe get hit on the latter part of this play. Most quarterbacks are going to do the famous third base or second base slide. Watch Sipe here try to put his head down, and look at that hit. Wouch, that hurt.
Boy, I tell you what, that'll interrupt your dinner plans.
Oh.
Second down and 4. Dave, they just recently sodded this infield where the Cleveland Indians play baseball, so it'll be interesting to see how good the footing is down there. Pruitt is out. Dwight Walker and the rookie Boyce Green are in. Green's got it! Touchdown, Brown!
This point, oh boy, he did not make it. Wow. That's why some of the big plays in football happen on the special teams.
12:37 to play. The Seahawks by 1. Dave, that was a big, big point after, and it has been a long time since Matt Maher has missed one of those.
78 consecutive kicks, PATs, but you know, Phil, you're only as good as your last one.
Look at this shift. Any question where this one's going to the left side? It'll be Zachary Dixon at the 5. Still on his feet out near the 25-yard line. And now you can believe this Cleveland Browns crowd will be exhorting its defensive unit to play tough, tough defense. That far on the stop. The scoring drive, 88 yards in just a little over 6 minutes. It took them 13 plays, capped by a 5-yard touchdown pass from Sipe to Green. Oh, you don't think the folks at Carson Newman College are hooting and hollering today? First and 10 Seattle, 12:27 to play. The Seahawks lead it 10-9. Charlie Young. The give right up the middle, Kurt Warner into the Cleveland secondary, out across the 30 near the 33.
Phil, we've talked a lot about Kurt Warner, and I don't believe we can talk too much about him, but I understand that Chuck Knox has got his 1991 #1 draft choice picked out.
It wouldn't be his son, would it?
It certainly would be. You know the stats that he had the other night? They were unbelievable. I understand that in a high school game, he ran for 280 yards on 14 carries and had a 95 and a 60-yarder called back. That's quite a day, isn't it?
Bellevue High School. Oh, Warner will go nowhere this time. Thanks in part to Dick Ambrose and the nose tackle who shut it all down before it could even develop, Bob Golick.
You want to see what it's like to get hit. This is it. Warner has nowhere to go, tries to cut back inside. There's Ambrose. There's Golick. There's somebody else. Ouch. 3rd down and 1. Here come the horses for Cleveland.
Now the Browns would love to get the football right here. They have stopped Seattle on 3rd and short and on 4th and less than a yard in this ball game. Warner. And I'm not sure if he'll make it. Awfully close.
Oh, boy, it's going to be close. He fell right on top of the flag. The referee came quickly in to mark the spot. This is going to be close.
I tell you, you'd think there was a $100 bill laying there.
Oh, he's 1 inch short.
Now, there's no question. If it's an inch, it may as well, in this situation, leading by 1, be a mile. You've got to get rid of the ball.
Well, if you're at home, the crowd would be screaming, go for it, go for it. And if you didn't make it, they'd be screaming, you're crazy for trying. But here, Chuck Knox is doing the proper thing. He's punting the ball away again to make Cleveland drive from 70 or 80 yards, relying on his defense to come through.
Jeff West, a boomer. Dino Hall retreating to his own 17, and look out. He'll be lucky to come out of that pile with his head. 5. Seahawks converge on little Dino Hall. So the Browns, with 10:47 to play, will start from their own 22-yard line. The Browns, with 10 minutes 47 seconds to play, will begin 78 yards from the Seattle goal line at their own 22. The Seahawks under Chuck Knox leading it 10-9. And Dave, Chuck Knox knows something about winning football games. Third winningest active coach in the game today, behind only Don Shula and Don Coryell. That's Pruitt to the 26-yard line. Again, Shelton Robinson. I want to see how many tackles Robinson has when this game ends. Chicago leading the Denver Broncos now 24-14. DeBerg has come on and hit Rick Upchurch.
Back in.
Look here, Pittsburgh over Houston 17-10. Here's the shocker.
Baltimore 34-31. Curtis Dickey just ran for 3 yards to go ahead. 34-31 over Cincinnati.
Look out, could be a fumble. And I believe it will be ruled a fumble. It is, and the Seahawks have recovered. Sipe under tremendous pressure right up the middle. Joe Nash was in there. Jeff Bryant was there.
It was either Joe Nash or Jeff Bryant. No, it's Joe Nash. He just bowled over the center. You can see the play right there. He just completely caught Sipe by surprise. Sipe never had a chance to pull the ball down. Another one of those big key plays.
The Seattle Seahawks have the ball here with 10 minutes and 1 second to play. It is 1st and 10 at the Browns' 15-yard line. Keep your eyes on the man at the extreme left-hand side of your screen. Warner, off balance at all, falls to the 7-yard line. One other score, Green Bay 52, Tampa Bay 7.
What a cut. You know that Chuck Knox in our pregame talked about how Warner could change direction so quickly and not lose any speed. It's quite evident as he goes through the hole that he's got tremendous foot speed. His feet are continually down on the ground. In other words, he can make that cut, the old cliche, and give you 9 cents change on it.
2nd and 3. The ball on the 8. It is Warner again. And this time he'll be down for no yardage at the 8-yard line. Bob Golick, the nose tackle, moving Blair Bush right out. Golick's playing an outstanding game at the nose tackle spot for the Cleveland Browns. Take a look at the rookies' numbers today. 21 carries, 88 yards, and a touchdown. Right now, that touchdown is the difference in this one. It is Seattle 10, the Cleveland Browns 9, with 8:51 to play. Two tight ends now for the Seahawks, Charlie Young and Mike Tice. Steve Largent is out of the ballgame. Play action, Zorn. The 4-yard line, but he has a Seattle first down and a flag is down. I believe it's against the Browns. Zorn clapping his hands frantically. Face mask, I believe, is the call.
Jimmy Zorn decided to put the ball down, and he put it in high gear. He was going straight for the flag. come up with a stand here, Phil.
There's Chuck Haberling. Let's listen to the call.
Face mask, 5 yards, number 57 on the tackle. First down.
We really don't see the face mask, but watch Jimmy Zorn's head right in there. There's the face mask. Yes, we do see it. Ouch.
And it's whistled on Clay Matthews. First down at the 1-yard line. 4 down linemen now for the Browns. Kurt Warner up and over. Touchdown Seahawks. Warner's second of the day.
This is the dimension that they've lacked so much in the past. They have it now. There's Kurt Warner up and over.
Dave, you mentioned it earlier in this ball game during a commercial break. They finally have a running back that knows how to run north and south.
Well, he doesn't run like a tank, but he does run north and south. The stigma that Seattle has had in the past is that they were unable to turn the corner. Their running backs would take the pitch and would be unable to turn upfield, be the north and south runner. Warner knows how to run that way. He cuts. He's got great lateral speed. He cuts through the hole. He gets upfield. If it's 3 or 4 yards, he also has the strength to break the hold of a defensive player. Very few single tacklers will bring down Kurt Warner.
Norm Johnson converts the PAT, and with 8:19 to play, Seattle with a 17-9 lead. A series that began with a fumble recovery on Brian Sipe ends a minute 42 seconds later. A 2-yard run by Kurt Warner, and it is Seattle 17, the Browns 9. And Johnson will kick it away again. And he really nails it. Boyce Green, 6 yards deep, will sit down, and Sipe and company will begin from their own 20-yard line.
Hey, guess what, Phil Stone? Look at the Los Angeles Raiders against the Washington Redskins.
They're killing me.
21-20. Don't ever count out those Raiders. Plunkett to Calvin. I guess that's
Calvin Muhammad.
Muhammad, I don't know him. He wasn't there when I was, but he ran 22 yards once he caught the ball for a 21-20 lead by the LA Raiders.
And they're playing that game at RFK Stadium in Washington. You can bet the Redskins will make a valiant effort to come back in that one. Sipe on 1st and 10. Harry Holt grabbed from behind and rolled out of bounds. Jacob Green, a defensive end, comes 8 yards downfield from the left side of that defensive line to make the stop. Dave, you know, though, at times it's easy to point to one play or perhaps an official's call that win and lose ball games. Generally speaking, even though it may appear that a single play wins or loses it, not very often the case.
No, it's not. My coach, John Madden, who I have a great deal of respect for and really admired as a head coach, used to say that there are 7 or 8 plays in a game that really determine who's going to win. You play waiting for those 7 or 8 plays. You play around the interception by Robinson, the interception down here by Keith Simpson to stop the drive, and of course the big play, the missed extra point, I think really changed the whole atmosphere of the game, because instead of being 10-10, automatically Cleveland had to score another touchdown. They came right back and fumbled the play. It's almost like you have an emotional letdown. So you play wait for those 7 or 8 plays to happen, and when they happen, if your team is the best conditioned, best coach team, you'll take advantage of it.
Browns with the first down now at the 31-yard line. The clock stopped with 7:26 to play in this ball game. Cleveland down by 8. Sipe looking for Harry Holt. Jacob Green with good pressure on Sipe, forcing him out of the pocket. Michael Jackson almost came up with that ball.
When you're running like that, you're running for your life. You often throw the ball away, as Sipe did in that instance. Michael Jackson, number 55, was right there and almost had an interception, which would have been turn out the lights, let's go home.
Dave, with 7:18 to play, it is not too premature, I don't believe, to talk about a possible Seattle Seahawks victory and what it would mean as this young ball club heads into San Diego a week from today.
Well, it continues to progress the team the way Chuck Knox wants it to progress. It's built around youth, it's built around draft choices, Kurt Warner's and that, but it's also built around a change of attitude, which we've talked so much about.
Sipe again under heavy pressure, and again it's the left defensive end, Jacob Green.
There's Sam. But one of the big things, if we watch Jacob Green come in here on a stunt, is that Sipe had no one to go to. He was just throwing the ball to get rid of it. You can see Jacob Green just giving him a push. Fourth-year man out of Texas A&M playing again against one of his old teammates, Cody Rison. But Sipe had no one deeper than 15 yards downfield. He had no one to throw the bomb to.
Now that has certainly been the rap, as we touched on during NFL 83. The Cleveland Browns just don't have wide receiver with the breakaway speed. Right over the center, that's Ozzie Newsome, and take it from me, that is directly out of the San Diego Charger playbook. From Fouts to Winslow here in Cleveland, it is Sipe to Newsome. A final end, the first one this afternoon. Pittsburgh has defeated the Houston Oilers 17-10. Cliff Stout to Walter Abercrombie. Turned out to be the game winner. Gary Anderson got a field goal to make it 17-10. That's a final now. For the Browns. And what would seem to be a punting situation, Jeff Gossett on 4th and 5. John Harris, the lone safety. On a long punt, Harris will let it bounce. And just walk away from it. Don't risk anything when you've got an 8-point lead with 6:20 to play. A 35-yard punt again. No return. Cleveland in command here with 6:20 left at Cleveland Stadium. Bill Stone and Dave Rowe. You know, Dave, I remember when home field advantage used to be worth anywhere from 3 to 7 points depending on who you were playing. But here in the fall of '83, it would almost seem more appropriate to refer to it as the home field curse.
Oh, it certainly has been this year. Of course, the season is early. I think it is a very distinct advantage to play at home. It hasn't proven out this year. So.
Fumble, and Warner pounces on it. You talk about the home field advantage, or conversely the home field curse, as we take a look at Warner. He just never got the football.
Watch how quick he reacts back to the ball, which is a good sign. He loses the handle right there. He's right back, full knowledge of where it is, good vision. He's right back. That could have been a big play. That is one of the big plays.
Now the visiting Seahawks leading in this one by 8. They have the football, trying to keep that clock running. 5:42 to play. Young in motion. That's Warner. He gains maybe 2. Clarence Scott comes up from his free safety spot with help from Dick Ambrose. Thing I can't believe, Dave, is here in 1983, visiting teams have won almost 60% of the games.
And that's what it's coming down to this one, too. It's going to be 61% after today, it looks like. But, you know, this game is really not over, and I know Chuck Knox is very aware of that. An 8-point lead with 5 minutes left in the game is not a sure thing.
Dan Dornick, the third down special receiver, kind of a designated receiver for the Seahawks. Zorn, downfield, Largent looking for a flag, and he will not get it. Good coverage by Rod Perry. Thought he might get a tripping call on Perry. Instead, the Seahawks will have a punt situation. Coming up next, don't forget, a big game for both ball clubs. The high-flying offense of the San Diego Chargers versus the stingy folks on the defensive unit of the New York Giants.
Oh,
Jeff
boy.
West.
He missed it.
And Dino Hall will take it right out of bounds. I should say he missed it. About a 19-yard punt out of bounds at the 42-yard line. The Raiders by 8 now over Washington. Oh, what a turnaround in the nation's capital.
Way to go, Raiders.
Another touchdown pass. Plunkett. 2 to Calvin Muhammad and 1 now to Todd Christensen. Chicago over Denver 31-14. Minnesota falling behind the Dallas Cowboys in the third period. Ron Springs, a 6-yard run. And Ron Fellows, a pass interference call, 58 yards. The Browns with 4:37 to play, down by 8. Batted down at the line of scrimmage by Jacob Green. Other scores, game still going on. 8:22 to play in the fourth quarter at New England. And it is San Francisco leading the Patriots 33-13. Also in the fourth quarter at Atlanta, they're deadlocked now. Bartkowski, a 14-yard pass to Stacey Bailey, the second time he's hit Bailey today. And look at this one, Green Bay burying John McKay's Buccaneers. Bucks need to find a quarterback with Doug Williams gone. Sipe on 2nd and 10. He's got Willis Adams a first down at the Seahawks 46. The clock continues to run. I wouldn't be surprised if the Browns go into their 2-minute offense perhaps a couple of minutes early.
They already have. They're lining up with no huddle. They realize that they have got to conserve time. They've got to score with at least 2 minutes left, so in case they don't recover an onside kick, that they can try to hold Seattle deep in their territory.
1st and 10, approaching the 4-minute mark. 4:02, 4:01. Sipe on 1st and 10. Flag down. Going to be offensive holding. Somebody was holding on to Jeff Bryant.
Oh boy, if you ever wanted to see holding, you're going to see it on Robert Jackson here. A small stunt on the left side of the line, and he just ripped Jeff Bryant down, number 77. That hurts. It's 10 yards. It gets them back in their own territory. A very costly penalty.
Dave, when you're out around the midfield stripe, though, realistically, it does not affect play selection all that much, whereas if you receive that same penalty deep in your own end.
No, the offensive teams break the field down into what they call 3-down and 4-down territory.
Offense number 68, first down.
You called it.
It's hard. It wasn't hard to miss that one. But they break it down in what they call 3- and 4-down territory. When you get down to about the 35-yard line, you come into what they call questionable 4-down territory, where you can go for it on 4th down. Now they're in 3-down territory. They're in the middle of the field. They've got to come up with a first down if they want to stay in this ball game.
1st and 20. That's Pruitt. Big hole, right side, still on his feet, twisting inside the midfield stripe to the Seahawks 48-yard line. The clock rolls. Don Dufik on the stop. What an afternoon for number 43, Mike Pruitt. There you see the clock. Pruitt, 24 carries, 106 yards. Sipe. Oh, look here. Bobby Jones, a comeback pattern, a little curl at the 30-yard line, and Gregory Johnson tackles him. Clock runs, 3:11, 3:10.
What a great story on Bobby Jones. They said he came out of Texaco Tech. He was working as a mechanic in a gas station, got a chance to go with the New York Jets, didn't get the opportunity to play, wanted to play football, and asked the Jets to trade him. They traded him here, and he's done very, very well.
2 minutes and 50 seconds to play. Sipe on first down. Screen to Pruitt. And Dufik chases him out of bounds. That stops the clock at the 25-yard line. This ball club. Dino Hall with the Browns.
Very true. Every year they say they cut players like that, but all of a sudden you get just about the time to your first game and you say, hey, we need him going down under kickoffs. We need him returning punts and kickoffs. So you bring them back on. They're great players for their tremendous courage that they put on teams.
2nd down and 6 now. Ball at the 25. Cleveland desperate to get on the board. Sipe. Jones cannot hold on. Check that, Dave Logan. Inside the 20-yard line. He had it and had it stripped away by Keith Simpson.
this situation, Phil, the Cleveland Browns are under the utmost of strain. Their offensive line is just under tremendous strain. The defensive linemen of Seattle are able to just tee off. It almost looks as if it was a catch by Logan. Fortunately, they ruled it. Watch the hustle in Seattle get to it. Ball. That could have been a costly play. But it puts tremendous strain on the offensive line of Seattle. They've got a pass block. Seattle's worried about nothing except the pass. That's all they're worried about. And they're down there. They've got 250 pounds on their fingertips, and they're roaring off the ball.
Right on 3rd and 6 now. 2 minutes, 36 seconds to play. Right over the middle. Very, very close to the first down. I believe he'll be short by a yard, maybe 2. Bobby Jones, the receiver, and he's slow getting up, but I don't think he's going to get up.
He took quite a shot in the middle there, coming across that middle. That's what you call no man's land. As we look out there, there's Dr. John Bergfield and the trainer Leo Murray. Leo's been with the Browns since 1950. Watch the hit here. You can see this is no man's territory. It's not where you want to be. You can see right there 3 people coming down on him. He really came down on the ball more so than the hit. That's tough territory. That checks out the courage of the receivers, the Steve Largents and the receivers like that continually go over that middle. That'll really test you.
Now Bobby Jones is up in his 5th year. Coming into today's ball game, 8 catches for 1 touchdown.
I wonder how many yards of tape old Leo Murphy there has put out since 1950 with this team.
I'll bet you he's had enough tape to cover Cleveland to Seattle.
He remembers when Luke.
President and General Manager Mike McCormick for their defensive coordinator Tom Catlin. McCormick was an offensive tackle here back during the glory years, 54 to 62. Mike played in 6 Pro Bowls, 3 NFL championship games while he was here, clearing the way for the great Jimmy Brown. Sight 24 of 36.
Oh boy, he's off and running.
Jacob Green.
A lineman's dream.
And Seif will not catch him. Touchdown, and look at the Seahawk bench. Everybody's coming to see Jacob Green.
Seif went to that play one time too much today. He completed several passes, and it looked as if Jacob Green could knock him down or bat him down. And this time, Jacob Green just played it just perfect. He was right there on the wide side. You'll see him on the left of your screen. And Seif just wants to dump it quick to Pruitt. There's Jacob Green, steps in between, and he's off to the races. Boy, he doesn't run like a defensive end, does he? 73 yards. That's a lineman's dream.
Well, he is already, Dave Rowe, the all-time Seattle sack leader with 24. But I'll tell you, he'll take that 73-yard romp over every one of those sacks to be sure.
Look at Reggie McKenzie there. He's loving it. Look, he needs help to get to the bench. He's so tired.
A minute 50 to play, and that has taken the wind out of the Browns' sails. It is now 23-9. Johnson on to try and tack on the point after. And he drills it perfect. 24-9. Seattle over the Cleveland Browns. And now here comes another one of those fantastic finishes. There is the shocker here in Cleveland. A game that at halftime was deadlocked at 3 apiece has been all Seattle in the final 2 periods, Dave.
Well, when it came down to the mistakes, they were Cleveland mistakes. And that's what decided the game.
Norm Johnson. It is taken by Green, and he is out to the 15-yard line and dumped head over heels.
Again, inside the 20-yard line. What can you say for the coverage teams? We've talked about the attitude. We've talked about the change. It certainly is evident here today.
Now what do you do if you're Sam Rutigliano? Your ball club is on the short end of a 24-9 score, Dave. You've got the New York Jets coming in here a week from today. And this will certainly fuel the fire of the quarterback controversy here along Lake Erie.
It certainly will, but you have to realize that this is one game. It's a long season. One game doesn't determine it. If you lose a player, it hurts, but one game doesn't make or break a season.
Sight at the 15-yard line. Station identification. This is the NBC television network.
You're watching KING-TV, Channel 5, Seattle.
You have seen an outstanding ball game here in the first half of our doubleheader here on NBC today. Stay tuned. From the Meadowlands, it is the San Diego Chargers and the New York Giants coming up next here on NBC. Thank our spotters today here in Cleveland, John Betchko and Pete Halvin, and our stats man, Don Travis. An outstanding job, gentlemen, and we thank you. The Seattle Seahawks, certainly not a fluke as you take a look, and they have taken advantage of every one of those Cleveland Brown turnovers. Pressure again, and he is dumped. Jeff Bryant leveled Brian Sight. Now the Seahawks knocked off the Jets, the Chargers, and just a minute 37 seconds away from knocking off the Cleveland Browns. And the Raiders, oh, what a turnaround in Washington, D.C.
Well, they're just a slow starting team. You know, they fell behind 17-7, but they've scored about the last 35 points, and it's 35-20. As Greg Pruitt, the other Pruitt, just has had a punt return of 97 yards for a touchdown, 35-20.
Now, it has been a day of big plays around the league. Ozzie Newsome will get out of bounds at the 23. In Green Bay, Phil Epps had a punt return for 89 yards.
How about that Baltimore-Cincinnati score?
What a shocker. Forrest Gregg has got to be tearing what few hairs he has left right out of his noggin. 34-31, the Colts over the Bengals today. Brian Sight will come off. Jeff Gossett will boot it away on 4th down and 3 at the 23. And the Seattle Seahawks now with just a minute 29 to play and a 15-point lead, I would say, assured of their 3rd victory of the season. Nobody even back for Seattle. It's down there. Al Gross downs it at the 31-yard line, a 48-yard punt. The executive producer of NBC Sports is Michael Wiseman. The coordinating producer of NBC's NFL football is Ted Nathanson. The telecast of today's game has been produced by Roy Hammerman, directed by Mark Warner. The technical director, Bill Kelly. Associate director, Janice Kazaza. And we thank you all for a job well done. We have had pictures extraordinaire.
We certainly have been.
First and 10. Take a look at Kurt Warner.
Phil, I don't want to say I told you so, and I really hope nothing happens to Kurt Warner, but this is the time when you take Kurt Warner out.
Couldn't agree with you more.
You don't leave him in with 15 points, 15-point lead, minute and roughly 10 seconds left in the game. You just don't do it.
Now the Browns call a timeout. Next Sunday, right here at Cleveland Stadium, it's the New York Jets and the Cleveland Browns, and you'll see it, one of many regional games here on NBC. And don't forget, the Seahawks will rise ride this win into San Diego to take on Don Coryell's Chargers. And what a big, big game the Chargers face coming up next here on NBC.
Oh, boy, we have two great games for the people to see. Not only today watching the Seahawks in Cleveland, but that San Diego game, they can play with anybody. They can score and run with anybody. You know, an interesting thing, I talked to Steve Largent this morning, and he told me he was going to do something outstanding so I could say hello to his wife, Terry, but he hasn't done anything today, Terry, so I can't mention his name.
A minute 10 to play. 3 weeks. That's Hughes right up the middle, and the Browns simply cannot stop the Seattle Seahawks running attack. A first down out at the 48-yard line. Now, we talked about what a big, big win this would be for Mike McCormick in his playing days here in Cleveland, Dave. But there's another fella on this Seattle unit, defensive coordinator Tom Catlin, who was a center and linebacker here for the Browns back in the mid-50s. He also a part of 3 NFL championship games. And I'll tell you, they had some great players back in McCormick and Catlin's days. Jimmy Brown, Lou Groza, Otto Graham, Milt Plum. Remember Dante LaValle?
Boy, do I ever. There's one sitting over here next to me, too, Paul Warfield. Tremendous football player.
Now, that Bobby Mitchell, who was inducted along with Paul in the Hall of Fame this year. You had Ray Renfro.
Oh, boy. You can keep on going because I can tell you Gene Hickerson and Dick Shafrath.
Dick Mojalewski. It goes on and on. And there was a ball club back during McCormick and Catlin's days that you could simply not call it a one-dimensional ball club, a two-dimensional ball club. They played every facet of this game of football. Pruitt, 24 carries, 106 yards. Warner, 24 carries, 95 yards. But more importantly, Warner has 2 touchdowns. 55 seconds. Clock continues to roll. Seattle with 1 timeout remaining, but the thinking being right now, why prolong the agony? This has certainly been a game of turnovers. Tied at 3-all. Shelton Robinson intercepted Brian Sipe. That set up Kurt Warner's first touchdown of the day that made it 10-3. And then after Sipe was nailed by Joe Nash, the Seahawks recovered the fumble. Kurt Warner took it in for his second touchdown of the day. And then in the 4th period, Sipe intercepted by the left defensive end of the Seahawks, Jacob Green, and he, right in stride, rambled 73 yards, and Sipe could not catch up to a guy who weighs 255 pounds. So that's the last play here in Cleveland. As the clock ticks down, we'll not see another play, and the Seattle Seahawks will come away victorious 24-9 over the Cleveland Browns. Now stay tuned for the second half of our doubleheader, San Diego versus the New York Giants, after these messages from your local station.